All right, we are now live. We have a very special interview here on the Gray Stage YouTube channel. Mr. Wooz News, Rafa, how are you? Am I
I'm great,
pronouncing that
brother.
right? Am I
Yeah,
pronouncing your name right?
yeah,
Okay, all right. Well, just tell
yeah.
me if
Hey,
I'm.
you works as well.
Hey, you
Yeah.
over there, that person. Where's
Hey, boy.
Wooz?
No, he's right
Where's
here. He's looking at me.
he's looking?
He's wondering what is going on. Here he is, the star
There's
of
the man.
of the show. Say
How
hi,
are you,
Woozy.
Wooz? Look at that.
He's ready to get his investigation on.
Very good. I think, and I have your opening sequence here queued up. I'm going to play
Sure.
this about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that covers so much ground, man. Let me, where are you? There you are. That covers so much ground there. And we see that we saw the David Crowley clip in there too. David Crowley's face. So
There's a pic. Yeah, there's a picture of his. I wonder who took that photo. I know the sequence of photos from which it came from.
sure.
There's also what's interesting is there's a sequence. There's actually two photos of David, but not really of David. It's of his house. So when the book opens up and there's Wooz wearing the mask with microphones in front of his face, and in the background is David's house on Ramsdale Drive. At the time when I made that, which was a couple of years ago, I was just, it was more of a creative thing. You know, I needed a backdrop. I'd been very much invested in this investigation and the story. But now, recently, there's something kind of prophetic about it, which it may be that I have to go to Apple Valley. I may have to do a press conference right outside 1051 Ramsdale Drive.
Yeah, well, you've already set that up because you've already got that shot and everything. So
Yeah,
why not, right? It's
but at the time that I made that, I wasn't going to Minnesota.
Well, you got to bring Wooz too. I think
I might bring. I may or may not. He's never flown before, so
dog traveling, any animal traveling, I think that's a very touchy thing. They put him in the cage and everything.
I know.
No, that's just.
I believe he can travel with you. Long time ago, I put my ex's dog. We broke up, and I sent his dog on a plane back to him in Alabama, and when he went to retrieve his dog, it had passed, and
oh, that's so sad.
I was so mortified. I did all the proper things, but they put the dog under with the cargo, and of course, if a dog has never flown before,
do you think it just stressed it out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's sad. That's one of the sad. I got a few stories like that, but that is just so sad.
I hope that's not part of my karmic wheel.
Okay, so there won't be any flying going on there. You're gonna have to drive
unless I'm holding
22
him.
hours.
Unless I'm holding him, but he's very needy. It depends what this looks like, because if we're gonna have a protest, I don't want to have to have half of my mind dedicated to where's Wooz, who's watching Wooz. I want to have it completely dedicated to this story, to this investigation. So
that makes sense. Yeah,
I'm going all out with this one.
I could tell, man. How's the J6 going? Part 3. Where are we at?
We're editing part 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gearing up, because what tends to happen when I'm in a kind of creative mode or an investigation mode, like I will just kind of go within, and I've been doing a lot of going within, kind of unrelated to David and his family and J6, but also kind of related in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm getting that. It's kind of like a hibernation, like an investigation, creative nation, hibernation.
Watch this on a big screen and go get your wine.
Go get your. That's good stuff.
Oh, what is that? The January. I had never seen that before. The January 6th United States Capitol attack. Do you see how they have to put this kind of premise or this preface before you watch? Because before you watch my video, I've never seen that before. That's brand new. Before they rolled this out when Coco, COVID, which if you could see my fingers, they're in quotes right now. That's when they started rolling this out. It's so that before you watch the video, now you have a preface or a prologue, if you will, that's kind of seeped into your mind. This is what really happened. Take it from us, Wikipedia.
Yeah, right. Wikipedia. Yeah, that's a great source. I get all my news.
I mean, all of those sources are from them. I mean,
that's too much.
It's a tool in how you use it. Anyway, so to answer your question honestly, I have been struggling to get into Act 3 because I'm kind of going through my own kind of transformation, but I'm also, whenever I have a break, I always go back to the story, to the Crowley investigation, and right now I'm trying to not shake it off. What's happening right now? It's kind of like a dual. It's capturing. For anybody who's watching, we have the farmers market right below, so there'll be some lovely saxophone tunes.
Nice.
Hope that doesn't get annoying, or hopefully you'll love it. So I'm trying to balance. I am trying to kind of put the Crowley case down a little bit, but that's not going to happen because there's a call to arms that I'm blowing the trumpets over here, and I'm going with him and editing and being creative over here. This is not so much creativity. Actually, I take that back. It is creativity because you need to create the creation because you're creating it. I'm basically creating an army of people who are going to help me get this case reopened.
Nice.
If that makes any sense. And everyone anyone who's invested in this story or this story speaks to them is involved with this. Whether they think they have something to offer or not, they do. Just the collective consciousness about it is enough.
Yeah.
But we need some people to go in there and shake some shit up and
do you think it's a little easier now that so much time has passed? I know it's kind of like, well, we should have done this years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. We didn't have the information that we have now. And sometimes, as the time passes, sometimes maybe people are a little more open to talking about it. We know all of the cops that were involved at that point may not even be there. With a new leadership, they have a new chief, I believe, too. So they have a whole new leadership there at the incredible Apple Valley Police Department. And so,
wait, why is it incredible? I'm just curious.
Oh, it's incredible. Their investigation is one of the most, just like what happened when we voted in 2020, it was the most secure election ever. This investigation by the Apple Valley Police was the perfect election. We have never a perfect investigation. We have never seen a perfect investigation like the Apple Valley Police Department did. They got everything right, and they solved this case within 24 hours, man. That is a world record. They deserve all hats off.
Sometimes my sarcasm meter doesn't go off like my gay meter does. I'm assuming you're being sarcastic right now.
You might assume that. Assume that.
I'm not afraid to put it all out there. To answer your question, I think time has gone by. Let me break this up in two things that I saw in my mind.
Sure.
Happy Sunday. Oh, I can see the comments. That's so great. All glory to the King. Hey, yeah, I'm down with that. Let's put it this way.
Okay.
I observed in myself before I had a channel, before I had any of this, that I would look to somebody like you or Sophia or Catherine or Dan. I'm like, when is someone going to do something? When is someone going to do something? They have done something. When is this going to keep? What's the solution, Greg? What's the solution, Greg? oh wow, I'm looking to you to find out the solution instead of, if this is kind of like a video game, if we live in this, it's a video game. I'm going to insert myself as this character.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a realization that I needed to have. Also, I've been kind of going through this spiritual awakening, spiritual journey since April 16th. And the first lesson that was taught to me was eradicating the fear of my own death. And that was why I had never shown my face on Wooz News before. It was because I feared for my life. And having seen what happened to David and his family, that compounded the effect. In fact, working on David's case, how could you not? You're seeing these bodies in the living room rug. Like, it's horrifying. I was checking behind my front door for. Sometimes I still catch myself, but more so recently I don't check. I'm like, okay, just come out. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But that was the first lesson. And once I got comfortable with this body dying, is when I decided to show my face on Wooz News. And when I decided to insert myself in a whole different way with this David Crowley story. So that was I realized that, fuck waiting for Greg to come up with the solution or anybody else to come up with the solution. I'm an investigator. I can rally this. I can do this. Other people can do this. Let's insert ourselves into this game. So that's exactly what I'm doing. And I definitely feel guided. I'm still not a religious person, but my relationship with father and brother is like, it's out of 10.
That's good. That's good to hear.
It's bordering on obsession.
I think getting rid of that fear is something that we all go through at our own pace during our own times. And sometimes that fear can creep up. Sometimes things will happen, especially in this case where I'm like, man, am I really doing the right thing here? Is this more about me, or is this really about getting to the absolute truth of what happened here with David Crowley? And the other thing I asked myself is why do I care? Why do I care? I did not know David. I was not a fan of David's work. What is so special about this case when there's thousands of cases, maybe nothing exactly like this, maybe nothing that's similar, but there's so many cases out there that we will never hear of that have a similar circumstance where quickly, all of a sudden, we get these investigators who are able to come in and, like I said, solve the case within 24 hours, game done, game closed. Don't look over here. There's nobody behind that curtain or anything. Just accept what they tell us, and that's it. Right. And go about your business. And so it's really good to have more people. And I really think it's really just about the more people know the case, the more people are going to ask the same questions, because these are common sense questions.
I've struggled with that as well. I'm like, there's dying kids in Africa. I could be putting my energy and use towards eradicating that.
Right.
And then this will flare up sometimes within me, but I'm getting out of here and getting into here. These two chakras, here, the heart and the solar plexus. And what it's telling me is to keep going, that this feels right. And I often wonder if I had a contract with David to come back and to do this. It sounds strange, but I feel extremely tied to this case, like on a soul level. And who knows what the domino effect of this could do? You know what I mean? It could maybe get some eyes on Philip Marshall. It could maybe get some eyes on British Bulldog. British Bulldog story.
Are you talking about Chris Benoit? You talking about that one?
Oh wait, I thought it was the British Bulldog. Is it Chris Benoit or is it the British Bulldog?
Chris Benoit is the one who was accused of killing his wife and his child. Putting his child in his finisher move. And I'm like, this is
Yes.
this is stupid. This is so dumb.
Why did I think it was British Bulldog?
Well, the British
Okay, I
Bulldog
believe he's
died of
passed
drug.
as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. And that's the other thing I was going to ask you. You must be a wrestling fan too.
I was when I was a child.
Because you used
I pretended I was China.
Of all the wrestlers,
Shawn Michael and China.
All right.
Well, I had such a crush on Shawn Michael. I think everybody did. You know,
he was the
and China. Well, China just had. She was part of Degeneration X, and she had all the hottie. She had X-Pac, and she had oh god, Triple H was in there, and Shawn Michaels, and there are a couple of others.
Road Dogg.
She didn't have to do shit. She just was just like.
She just stood there. She was intimidating.
She intimidated all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
She had this presence about her, and I remember when they first brought her out, and that was the heyday. I still call it WWF. I don't follow any of it anymore. Like it, you know, I was a huge Undertaker fan, a huge Goldust fan. I haven't talked about wrestling in years.
Goldust is a lot. Yeah.
I haven't talked about wrestling in over maybe 10, 20 years.
Have you ever gone to any of the?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I did. I went a couple of times. We used to live close to Nashville, and so we would go. And remember Sonny?
Yes. How could you?
It's amazing. Like I'm gay, but man, I had such a Woody for Sonny.
Sonny almost turned you.
and Marlena, yeah. There've been a couple women in my life that
she's
have had that effect.
Yeah.
I remember being obsessed when Goldust would come out. Now understanding what they did at the time as a kid, I had no idea how they did this. They were changing the frame rate. When Goldust came out, they were setting it to, I believe, 24 frames per second.
That's right.
That's what gave it, and they put the letterbox on it. So when Goldust came out, it looked like a freaking movie.
It did. Yeah, they did. That was great. That was great stuff, man. That's all great stuff.
So I was China.
I don't know if you heard the rumor about Goldust. The guy who played him, obviously Dustin Rhodes. He was willing to go so far. He was actually contemplating getting breasts like implanted just to go along with the character. That's how invested some of these wrestlers get into this story. That may be a little too much there.
I've come to take things in that realm, and because it's all kayfabing. Right. I can understand how his character or how it hams up the story. Everything is to kind of push the envelope. So are those his true desires and intentions? I don't know. I don't care. Yeah. I care if it's what he wants and will make him happy. But I also know that there is, you know, it's show business. It's entertainment. You've got to push that. You know, you got to make it interesting. And luckily for me, with January 6th, I don't have to push Nathan. It's already there. I don't have to make anything up. I will never make anything up because that's dishonest. I'll never make anything up about David's case. You know, if I see something, you know, whether it's pro or con, or I'm gonna look at it. Like all last week, I was lots of crying, lots of pulling my hair out, going over that one of Catherine's videos. We talked about this. And I finally came back to, you know, to where I was before I saw that video. Yeah. I had to put some pictures together, and it made sense to me. So,
so all glory to the King. Says you did good, guys. Congratulations. It's about time people started to do their part. He waited a long time. You have patience of the saints, peace and grace. The King is coming. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, well, he says Amen. He is.
And then we have another one, Flash, for Muzzle Flash says, after watching all Greg's videos about David, Camille, and Rania Crowley, that home video of David and Rania, hearing their voices ripped a slice in my heart. And I think a lot of people, go ahead if you want to comment on that.
What came to my mind, I don't want to hog the floor.
No, this is your time. I'm interviewing you here. So.
I specialize in body language, and when you David was someone who loved to document everything. You could see that in him as a kid, you know, making home videos and you know, playing an actor in a film. I used to do that too. In fact, we have a lot of similarities in our life, like a lot, with the exception of the Army. But I was an Army brat for 20 years, so.
Is that right? Interesting.
Yeah, so I guess we do have. I mean, most things we have in common.
Mm.
But when I've seen hours of footage, whether it's Gray State related or home videos or whatnot, and that was one of the things that I can look at Eric Nelson's a Gray State and find gratitude within it as far as more proof. Like, look at these videos. Like, I mean, and as an editor, you can see when they're like showing David with a gun, and then they're talking about how David did this, or they're building it up. Like, I'm totally aware of how they made this. They really pushed this. Makes you wonder why.
Mm-hmm.
And how they know all of that footage was there. But anyway, it's like you got to go with your gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to make David the one who did it. I've tried to make Kamel the one who did it too. I've tried every aspect. I've tried that.
How about Rania?
They're not. Yeah, right. I think I had a day where that actually happened. I try to make it that they staged it, because this does have flavors of things we've seen in the past of crisis actors kind of staging their death.
Mm-hmm.
But I go back to everything I've ever saw or learned about David, and does it fit his character? Absolutely not. Not at all. Doesn't fit his character at all. And I'm open to this being some type of psyop on both sides. Mm-hmm. I'm open to David having done it, but I have 1,000,001 reasons that disprove that David did it. I don't really have a leg to stand on when we talk about David faking his death, and when we talk about David doing this crime.
Was there
go ahead.
Was there anything in a Gray State, any moment of that film where you felt like, okay, maybe they got something here, maybe this is evidence that David Crowley did it?
The first time I watched it, I'm all about going with things that first hit my mind. There's this sequence, and I'm not quite sure why he did it, but it just goes to show you that David was always recording everything. Like even when he's recording at the beginning, where he's like, shitty pen, kind of going over what he's going to say to, I believe it's the Marks. Oh, what were the guys in Hollywood?
Oh, the mic.
The mics. The mics. Yeah, the mics, because they were both mic. He recorded everything. And that's something that I would have done as well, by the way. When the mics sit down and listen to David having record himself and having said all that, I would have already done that, but I wouldn't have recorded myself.
Mm-hmm.
That was not strength to me at all. What I see is somebody who really cares about this project and wants to, and is preparing. And as a soldier, that's what he was taught. He's preparing. But the way that they played it out, it comes off as sneaky, and it comes off as dishonest. But if anything, it's hella honest. So it was a little bit of that, and it was those moments where David is in the basement and he's got all his gear on. And he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do it. Yeah, fuck yeah." Or he's watching Alex Jones and he's like, "Fuck no, we're not gonna give it to the New World Order." And when you notice what they're the on the lower thirds, what they're showcasing below, like David still doesn't have an income, and he's still working on his Gray State project, and it builds up this. I'm telling you, you can get anything across as an editor. I'd be happy to do a whole commentary on that movie from an editor standpoint, and tell you how they are able to achieve a feeling, and then that you
cool.
walk away from. I didn't necessarily walk. This is that kind of case where you're just like, oh, did he do it? Did he not do it? It messes with you. After all these years that I've been working on this case, I still will have those fleeting moments of going in and out, which is okay. It's as an investigator, it's okay to have those feelings, of uncertainty, because it's a really freaking. It is such a. I just want to drop a bunch of F-bombs there. It's just such a sordid tale, this crime scene. Not just the crime scene. The police department, the media, and his friends. Everything about it. The Day One Journal.
That was a big one.
Every element that, every element of this story is just like, it leaves you scratching your head. So, it's not that watching I understand how people, when they watch A Gray State, walk away thinking that David did it, because it's very convincing in the way that they're telling the story. And then, not to mention, you have Dan Sr. reading the script that they've provided for him, just kind of going along with it.
Isn't that something? Because you can tell that he's definitely reading off of a script, and the way that the script reads, it's almost like it's the first time he's ever read this thing. And even he's kind of,
it is the first time he's ever read it. He doesn't know. They probably said, could you please read this? And he did. He's kind of like the narrator. I mean, he and David are kind of like the narrator. And what better way to get you to believe that David did it than hearing it from his own father?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that. Just going through some of the comments here. I want to say hi to everybody in the comments. Thank you all for joining us here. We have a very special guest, Mr. Wooz News, Rafa. He is a filmmaker, knows a lot about film, and this may be the guy that we've been waiting for, the person we've been waiting for.
And I know a lot about this case.
He does know a lot about this case. We're
going to
get into that. Absolutely. A Gray State movie felt like one big red flag for me. It bothered me immediately. Hard to argue with that. Yeah. And I even when I saw it back in 2012, the hype around it was crazy. I've never seen hype for something so simple. Just a 2-minute, 3-minute trailer. I think the thing is now up to it's up to over 4 million views now, and climbing. It's not stopping.
So what we need to do is, how do I want to say this? We need to put as much effort in. I mean, the cast and crew. Oh God. I just reminded of myself that when I think of the crew of A Gray State, it's some of David's friends,
quote unquote.
Which is right. I have a feeling I know which ones are and which ones were. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do. Well, I can't speak for anybody else. I need to do a bigger and better job than A Gray State. And Werner Herzog he's very famous as a producer. I'm very curious as to how they got that footage. Where did the origin of this begin? That's where I would want to start with that.
Someone wants to know what is the green milkshake that you're drinking?
It's a smoothie. It's like it's almond milk, coconut water, almonds, chlorophyll, spirulina, spinach, parsley, and one date. And it's so good. It tastes like Trix.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
except it's real. It's natural. Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Riley the Flaming Wookie Cookie says, I always thought the name A Gray State was chosen to mess with the actual algorithms and confuse people looking for the actual movie. What do you think about
Yes,
that?
it is 100% too. Anytime I'm doing an interview and I'm trying to get people to find it, they always come back as this it, and it's Eric Nelson's A Gray State. But there's also this kind of I saw like two men trying to out muscle each other. It's like this was David's project. This I don't want to say this was David's life, but at this time it was his life. This is what he thought was going to propel him in Hollywood, and he had that determination. I believe it would have happened, no doubt about it. That's why I call bullshit when people are saying like he killed himself because he got a no. It's my understanding that he had a deal with the mics. He had, and I could be wrong about this one. I need to clarify this.
Sure, I'll help you.
But it's my understanding that the deal was not going to happen.
That's false.
And that, well, think about it. He had sent that email, one of the last emails he had sent to the guy, I believe it was on the 19th of December, where he's very jolly. He's talking about A Gray State and how we have all these people coming into the page every day, and I lost my train of thought.
Was the deal dead?
Well, let's just say it was.
I mean, we have the audio evidence that it wasn't, but okay.
I want to say one of the friends, I believe it was Mitch. I believe it was Mitch that said the deal was dead. Regardless, let's just say it was.
They all said it was.
Let's just say it was. Let's just say it was. Is David the type of person that would kill himself and his family because he got a no? Remember, this is a guy who's been in combat. He's seen his brother's heads get blown off. He's served in Iraq and Afghanistan for years. Like, is this the type of character or analysis of a character that you walk away with that somebody gets a no and then they're going to do this?
That's a good point. Because
remember, they're not just killing. It's not just Rania and Kamel. It's Dan and Allison and Nyla and Sidra and I forget the father's name, Alam. Anyway, do you understand what I mean? Like, and Kate, like it just shatters all of it. This is not the type of person that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
This is a type of person who gets a no, and that's just more fuel for him. And by the way, in that 4th of July video that you have on remember that video we talked about where like the We Are Change people kind of just bombard him?
Yeah.
In there, he says, hey, Gray State may never be made anyway. And there was such honesty, and there's a lot of truth to that because of what he's saying. You think the Hollywood, Masonic Hollywood will buy up a film where Freemasons are, guillotining people? I mean, it's possible because of predictive programming, but at that time, who knows?
Yeah.
But he knew that even in the 4th of July, which was 6 months from the time. Yeah. Exactly. So.
Yeah. And that's after he got the deal. That is a great.
He knew it was a possibility that this may never happen. Mm-hmm. So to come at me and say, "Oh, he did this because he got a no because he was so obsessed with this project," well, he was obsessed with it in 2011 and 2012. Why didn't he do it then? Mm-hmm. Why didn't he do it in 2015? You know what I mean? Why wait till you're about to move to Hollywood?
I mean, the
start
one thing.
Your life over.
Yeah, we definitely know that when he spoke to Michael Bozio for Michael Entertainment Group, and Dan Hannon did talk to him, audio recording for about 30 minutes. And the Michael Entertainment Group, they said basically, hey, the deal was never dead. It only died because David died. And I'm paraphrasing there, but that's what they basically said.
Well, that's great. If you still have that, that's great. That's great to have.
Yeah.
I do recall something something in the Jan 6 journal, the Day 1 journal. He said something about do not sign, and it could be irrelevant, but that's something that now we have something to stand on. If Crowley friends are coming at us saying that the deal was canceled, but we have this person on the line saying it wasn't.
I mean, it's always possible that David walked from it. David may have said, "You know what?"
And it could be exactly that was his choice. But
TV series, and he's
when
like,
you
"No."
when you read the email, from my understanding, the last email that he sent, which is, there's only 50 frickin' smoking guns with this case, and that's a smoking gun right there. I believe it was an email written on the 19th. I forget his name. He had come back from holiday and then replied to the letter. And I remember he made he made a comment about, like, this is really weird. Like, listen to the email that he just sent me. This is a Hollywood guy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think, yeah, if it's one of the last, it could have been either Jason Allen or it might have been Danny August Mason. I mean, those.
No, it was not. No, it wasn't Danny August Mason.
Was it a filmmaker?
Yeah, it was. I believe
so
it was
probably
Jason Allen. I believe it was on the 19th.
Okay.
He hadn't had communication with Danny August Mason at that time. I mean, as far as I know.
I think, yeah, the 16th or the 19th of December.
I believe you're right. In an email, you're right, because there was a correspondence in September. Then, like, months went by, and then with little things like that, escape me sometimes. I remember.
Oh, there's so much to the case. That's
exactly.
That's why it's like, how do you even begin to, what goes into a documentary? What goes into a book? Like, there's a lot of stuff that I did not put into the book that I wrote.
Let me put it this way for you, Greg. Before I do a documentary,
mm-hmm.
I want to see how far I can take this before I do the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, can I get if how do I want to say this? I want to fuck some shit up, Greg. I don't want to just be like, okay, here, we're going to make a documentary and hope for the best. No, I'm march my happy ass to Apple Valley and see what I can do. If that means a protest outside of Apple Valley Police Department, so be it. If that's handing out flyers for a whole week at the Walmart in Apple Valley, so be it. Like, I will put my creative cap on and run with this, because y'all, between, you and Catherine and Sophia and Dan and I think his name's Rick, Zombie Rick or what, there's a couple of other of y'all have been holding down the fort, but no new information has come through in years.
Right.
And I think that if we want to really see a change in this story, it's going to have to be more than a documentary. We're going to have to put ourselves in the documentary, if that makes any sense.
And I think
we're not the subjects of the documentary, but we are. We're participants. Does that make sense? We're not just creating something to make the change. We are making the change with our own efforts. We are stepping. I can't speak for you if you're going to come with me to Apple Valley. It would be great for all y'all to get together and have a little reunion. I think so. But oh yeah, big pictures, big posters. We'll hand out stickers. I want. We'll FOIA request everything we didn't get, and if we don't get what we want, this is why. Let's just say 6 months. Mm-hmm. Let's just. It could be shorter. I have a feeling it'll be shorter than 6 months. But let's just say 6 months right now. It'll probably be shorter than 6 months. But let's just say 6 months right now. I need to build this army. I want to get every freaking person that knows David, that believes David is innocent. Let's get them. Let's print out their boarding passes. You know what I mean? Let's see if they're interested. I want to know lawyers. I want to know private investigators. I want to know what our rights are as far as viewing all those hundreds of photos and videos and things that we've never seen before, and who knows what else is there. I want to know everything. Like, yes, I have seen those leaked photos. It really helps when you're reading that autopsy report. I mean, God bless those 2 leaked photos. As difficult as it was to view them, now the autopsy was coming alive. But it's still we're gonna have to get closer. I want to see them. Not I need to understand some things. I need to understand mostly what I'm looking for. I want to see what his right hand looks like. I want to see, is there blood around that area? Like, there's so many things that don't make sense. There's like hardly any blood in the crime scene. We have some low velocity blood spatter near the door where behind the rocking chair, mind you, we have a large puddle of blood on that rocking chair footstool. But yet there's not much that seeped into the carpet. We don't have a single dog track, a paw print, which is extremely alarming. All we have are those 2, footprints of David. Now, who knows if those are his prints? I believe that they are. But how they were obtained that way, you know what I mean? Like, no one talks about, like, okay, if he wrote this, if he wrote Allahu Akbar on the wall, how did he capture the blood? Where did he put the blood in? What, he jumped up on the couch, made an A, and then had to come back down and bop, 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 and come back up, and there's no blood coming to and from the couch to Kamel? It makes no sense. The blood must have been captured in something.
Yep. And there's the only image I think we have of the hand there.
That's the left hand.
Yeah, sorry, the left hand. And of course his right hand is quote unquote missing, so we're not gonna get that. But it's always been strange to me why the dog did not eat. Why would they eat one hand, eat the right hand, but not the left hand?
Why would you eat exactly? Why would you eat all of the parts that you would think a dog would never eat? Why would you eat Ranya's entire right arm when she's laying on that freaking side? Like, come on, guys. Why would a dog go for the toughest things? You would think he would go for some softer things. The dog thing really bothers me. Again, we don't have paw prints anywhere in the freaking house. We got a lot of shit downstairs in the basement, and neighbors say they didn't hear the dog in the entirety of this time, except for 3 days before the 17th. So we don't hear the dog at all. There's a giant bag of dog food in the kitchen. Like, it's just one of those things. This is just
There's
one. I've worked on a lot of cases before, but this is. It's got to be the definitive. It's got to be like the number one.
Well, you had asked about David's ring too. His
yes, I had
the wedding band, and this is it should be right here. I don't know if my person shows up on the screen or not, but it should be right there, and it's obviously not.
Actually,
it's only in one spot.
Can you zoom in a little bit closer on the ring finger?
Yeah, let me check. A little more. So the ring finger should be right there.
Because if you take a look at what was his name, Tony Floyd, in the Tony Floyd Endgame picture, well, even in the autopsy photo with Kamel, when she's wearing the corset, how it pushes the skin out, but the corset lines remain, right? Obviously they would. Rigor mortis is set in, autolysis is set in, and so autolysis is set in. And so that design or pattern of that bulging out of skin will remain. It does look a little bit, but hardly at all. Why would you ever take his ring? Why? See, this is what I'm talking about. This is why that conversation with Alan Hostetter was so important. And by the way, he's going to be sentenced on the 13th of October. Oh. So if you have any more questions to ask him, I know he would be happy to help.
Cool. That would be great.
He believes either I think everybody's opinion is relevant, but he believes either, yes, he was murdered or that it's staged. And his only thing to go of it being staged, other than like, the Ashley Babbitt Capitol shooting, was that the dog's name was Paleo and that it ate his companions,
Oh my
which is just
goodness.
which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever thought about that, but yeah, that's interesting.
I think it's just happenstance because she was a dietitian, and that
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at that time when they got the dog, like that was when the paleo diet kind of became a thing, and yeah, look at that. What it always bothered me, that mudra.
Yeah, look at that.
How the index finger and the thumb. Now, this could be a camera trick, meaning if we had a different angle, we could see that they weren't connected. But that's not generally something you're going to see with a body when it dies. You have to apply pressure. You have to, you know what I mean? Like, I have some theories as to why it looks that way. I don't know if this is the time or place to go into those theories. Nope, we're not going to do that now.
It's up to you. It's up to you. I don't want you to feel.
I think no right now.
Okay. I know we have a couple questions.
This is our first introduction to me and this case, and I want to make sure. I don't like to talk out of my ass when it comes to this case. And
well, here's a question here from Riley. If by some miracle Gray State is actually released, that would be awesome. But would we be able to trust that the script was not compromised? How much of David's original vision would be left intact? And because we have two different scripts, that's a tough question to answer because we have a 2013 script and a 2014 script. My guess is you would want to stay true to the 2014 script, because that's his most recent version, I would think. And that's one that doesn't have Danny August Mason's character in it too, but
I would like to say something that I'll cleverly word. I believe which version? I think it's the third version. Version 6, which I believe is the third. Anyway, it's
yeah, that's the 2014.
It's 125. It's 125 pages.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, and we can move on from here after I say what I'll say. I believe that this is the version that David would like to have made, and I believe that he would like Steven Spielberg to direct it.
Nice.
That's it. So, and I believe David would like to have this movie made at some point. That's later. That's later.
Because we've got to clear his name first, right?
Exactly. Like we have to. I have asked. Listen, I'm not just playing the real world here. I am playing all of it. And whatever this dimension is, this third dimension, this plain old dimension that we're in, I want to utilize and harness some of the powers of the universe, but harness some of the powers of Brother Yeshua and Father, and maybe even David himself. I want to get a little metaphysical with this. Okay. We've seen, this is not something, like I said, that I'm pulling out of my ass. We have seen remote viewers solve crimes. We have seen psychics solve crimes. So if it takes getting in contact with the freaking psychic, I'm all about it. If it's going to take hours of meditation to understand this case or to know who's a part of it, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to wait for those instructions, but I have a feeling those instructions are going to be, I believe that I will know more about this case when the time is right. Because I believe right now is blowing that trumpet. But remember, I'm in the middle of the January 6th investigation. I have a whole other documentary to make. And, it'll take a couple months. So I believe that when that is finished, the information will come rushing to me. And if it doesn't, regardless, I need to see his hand. I need to understand when frickin' Chief Medical Lewinsky is saying that this is due to dog scavenging, I need to see what she's seeing. Does that make sense? Because
yes.
You're telling me from that last photo that leaked photo that you shared with me, you're telling me that is dog scavenging? No, honey, that doesn't look like dog scavenging. That looks like somebody took a freaking sledgehammer to his face.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about here. It's actually the first thing on my notes is the actual
let's just eat the
image.
most difficult part. Like, come on, let's just eat come on.
They're saying half of his skull. I mean, they first told us that the whole skull was missing. Looking at the image of the bodies, it looks more like half of David's
There's
face is
there's
gone.
like the whole freaking face
The
is
whole
gone.
thing is gone.
You have basically like the back cradle here. I think it's the occipital. I'm not a doctor, and thank God. I just play one on TV.
I just play.
I believe well, I don't believe it's this. It is this.
They had because in that image it looks like kind of like a Terminator. When you look at David's head, it looks like the Terminator. You can see some of the skull. You can see like half of his eye.
No, I know what you're talking about. It's that it's the white. I think that's just a piece of the skull.
And the image is so bad quality too because it was part of a PDF.
Well, exactly.
That's the thing. It's not a real image. It's an image put into a PDF.
This is why right now is the time to call in lawyers, call in private investigators. And these are the type of people that are like a 60-year-old man who's retired, you know someone, and who believes so strongly about this guy, hey, you don't need to pay me, just pay it forward. Who's going to be like, no, what you want to do is fill out this form, and that I need some counsel. I need some guidance from some real-world players on terra firma.
That was the other thing. Would you want a hungry, young, new lawyer, or would you want a seasoned one from the Minnesota who knows the ins and outs?
I want the divine one.
Okay, I'll take that too.
Whatever he looks like, Yeshua was performing miracles as a baby, or as a child. So
let's say that. Okay, let's
his
say
age is not that relevant to me.
Okay,
if he's the divine one, I mean, I'm gonna know.
Yeah,
you're gonna see it in his eyes.
You're just looking for the chosen one who is meant to take on this case.
There could be two freaking lawyers, there's a seasoned private investigator out there that knows the protocol. That's the thing, though. I can investigate a crime scene, and I can edit the shit out of something and make it look real good. Beyond that, fine print, jargon, adult stuff, numbers, mortgage. Get it away from me. Very much a child at heart, and it's okay that some of that stuff makes me kind of cringe. There's some people who love that stuff, like accountants. Yeah. That's what I'm doing right now, and I've done quite a few interviews regarding January 6th, and I always talk about David, and now I'm cheating here, but that's okay. I always flash this paper, which is it's a target. If you're a remote viewer, you understand what this means, and just for fun, I'm going to put it out there anyway. It's 08052367. This thing is a couple years old. I knew one day, I didn't know how far I wanted to take this or go with this, but now it's going, and I'm just trusting my heart.
Yeah.
But there's information inside of that folder. But I didn't just make this. This is years old. I knew one day that those numbers were picked at random, but they were picked a long time ago. So it's been building. I mean, this has been building for a long time. This happened in 2015. who knows what this could do. You know, I
mean, based on what you've done with the J6 case, I want to get your thoughts on the limited footage, photos, and documents that we have. What type of a documentary could you really make with the information that we have? Because obviously with J6, you got all the footage, you got all this stuff to work with.
right. And with this, we don't have that now.
Right.
Well, I cannot. Oh, I cannot make this. I cannot make this documentary without knowing everything there is to know about the crime scene. So I will go to Apple Valley Police Department, just like how they put you and Dan in a gray state and they made you look like kooks. We're just gonna do the reversal.
Oh, okay.
We'll have a protest outside. We may not have to make a documentary, or the documentary is showing the process of how we got this case to be reopened. Like, I cannot do this documentary without seeing those photos. I just cannot, because we like I said, there hasn't been any new information. We don't, when I read what they're saying about his right hand and about her arm. Now you could see Ranya's arm just a little bit. That thing is freaking makes no sense. I need to see everything because and that shouldn't be that difficult. Like I said, someone will know the protocol. Someone will guide me. I will fly there and I will view the photos. If by then, and I may have a rally. I mean, I think I'm probably going to do it anyway. It feels like in my gut that it's needed, you know, just the support of, you know, there are millions of people who watched A Gray State. And so there's millions of people who believe this story. That's a collective consciousness about one man. Okay. Well, I'm trying to reverse that here. And so I may hold some type of rally or protest outside of the freaking AVPD, and then create the documentary. And then so it's like, now I'm not just creating the documentary, I'm creating the content. And now I'm inside of the doc. It's kind of an interesting part. You're inside of the documentary. You're not just, you know, this investigator behind the curtain. You're creating the freaking documentary in real time. Yeah. This is what I mean about kind of stepping outside the box. Listen, if we want to see extraordinary results, we're going to have to be extraordinary. And simply just, all right, this is the FOIA request. This is all we have. That's not good enough for me. I'm going to get creative and think about every single freaking thing I can do to shake some shit up and then make this documentary. And it could, who knows, it could only take a week of being in Apple Valley to really, to do something about it. I mean, do I have to go wine and dine the governor? I don't know who the governor of Minnesota is. I believe it's that woman with the eyes, but I don't know. Whatever I have to do, you know, whatever I have to do.
Well, we got a few questions here. I think a girl makes a pretty good, interesting point here. It looked like a Charles Manson style copycat stage setup. I really agree with this filmmaker here.
I looked into the Manson information. I'm open to it being real, but at this moment, I believe it was staged.
Charles Manson thing?
Yes, but that's not just like I said, pulling that out of my ass. I've been investigating false flags for over a decade, for 15 years now, and that's one I investigated, and that's my takeaway right now. I'm happy. I'm open. I'm not afraid to be wrong. I'm not afraid to be right either. I'm open to it going a different way. I'm open to David doing this or David having staged this, but I'm learning not to just trust my brain. I'm learning to trust my heart and my gut, which what is probably more true or more what's the word? Paramount? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's another one here from the Muzzle Flash. Let's say hypothetically David was assassinated to stop him making Gray State. What would happen to the next person trying to make it? Well, we know Danny August Mason and Joe Biggs, the J6 hero, tried to go forward with it, and they weren't afraid. Why should we be afraid?
That's the thing though, is like, who freaking did this? Because I've got suspects out the wazoo, man. when it comes to this. That's a good point, because if Danny August Mason and Joe Biggs, which is just like, because Joe Biggs is part of what's his name, Michael Hastings, the whole Michael Hastings death, or not a part of it. Well, yeah, he was in his own way. That's a conversation you and I need to have, because if Joe Biggs is now in both of my investigations, the January 6th and the David Crowley.
Yeah.
There's only a few characters that make this jump, and that's Alex Jones, Stuart Rhodes, and Joe Biggs, and Luke Rudowski. Not so much Luke Rudowski, but more so Jonesy and Rhodes and Biggs. Now, I don't believe that these people are actually going to jail for 22 years. I think that's part of the story. I think these people have been doing this for a very long time. And this is the moment of, to me, not having that much knowledge about these guys. I'm not talking about Jonesy, but I'm talking about Rhodes and Biggs. This was kind of their entrance, was during the time of the We Are Change movement and the Ron Paul movement. And so, but I would love to have a conversation with you about that movie. How did they get the rights to this movie? Dan Sr., I believe, has the rights to this movie. How does now Danny August Mason have the rights to it, and how far did they get in making this?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. Did they make this movie? I mean, I've seen stills, but that they could just be stills. Who funded it? Why the frick is Joe Biggs a part of it?
And Elvis. You got Elvis.
Elvis?
Yeah, there's three guys in the clips there. And
the Asian guy, his name is the Asian guy?
Yeah, his name is Elvis. Hunka hunka burning love. That's all I'm
not gonna. That was okay. That's
I don't know. That just threw me off.
It's interesting that his name was Elvis because
Elvis faked his death too. No.
When this started on April 6th, I'm not going to go into details, but David is a part of all of this. Okay. But that name Elvis came up, I don't know, 500 times. Anyway, I'm gonna have to have a little conversation.
Okay. Here's another.
Anyway, yeah. What?
Here's another question from Riley. Any idea who's running the Gray State YouTube channel? Who, quote unquote, owns the Gray State rights, and how involved is Danny Mason? This is
what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. There are so many unanswered questions. Before I even decide to make a documentary, I want to know all these little tidbits, because I believe that they're helpful.
Yeah.
Who has the rights and who transferred those rights? Okay, we know, according to that letter that David sent him, Danny doesn't have any rights.
Right.
So who gave it to him? Is it Dan Jr.? Or is it Dan Sr.?
It would have to be David's dad. But when I talked to Kamel's sister, she's like, Kamel's dad will never give them the rights to go forward with it. So from Kamel's side, from their family point of view, this thing is dead. The Gray State is dead. They are not going to give anybody any rights to go forward with it.
Yeah, but look at obviously it must have been Dan Sr. who gave them the rights to pull all of these files from his son's computer and make an hour-and-a-half documentary about it. You know what I mean? And then get the family involved.
Yeah, for
Oh,
Eric Nelson's film, but not to go forward with David Crowley's
if you
project.
have the version with what is his name? Mr. Alam's name.
Yes.
What's his name?
Anjum.
Ajun?
Yeah,
Ajun?
it's spelled Anjum, but I don't know how
Okay.
to pronounce it.
Ajun and Sidra. I
Okay.
believe there's a version out there that they're in of A Great
Yes,
State.
that was
If you
taken
have
out.
that, please send that to me.
Yeah, we don't have it. When I
Okay.
talked to Kamel's sister, she explained some of what was cut out, how the movie was supposed to end. It was supposed to end with Kamel's sister. She was actually pregnant at that time, so it was supposed to end by showing, okay, we lost this life, but now everything has come full circle. It's a weird
Oh,
way to end the
instead of
movie.
paleo, no, it's not because
Yeah,
they did it with paleo.
yeah, because that's all they had. They had to go with their plan
Think about
B
it. It's like, yeah,
because
a new life being rebuilt and started. Well, that's paleo.
correct, right.
I can understand it being Sidra. This is what I'm talking about, brother, is that to get this, okay, like these are things we don't know. To get this case reopened, do we need somebody from the family to go ahead?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and then we need to discover, is there any family member that believes that David is innocent, whether it's a cousin or an aunt or, I don't know.
There are.
There's just this, this is, I can speak what I feel in my heart. Doesn't mean
Okay.
it's true, okay?
Okay.
But there's something in me that feels that Dan Sr., it just doesn't feel right with him. It just,
I would agree.
that is what I'm feeling here.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right with him.
Yep. I would definitely agree with that. You can see it in his eyes,
Yes.
but then at the same time, I know that he's told other people that he really thinks that this happened, and you can only take a guy at his word. So
I'm not listening for his word. I'm looking at his body language, and I live in LA. Excuse me.
Oh, I couldn't tell.
That's what I'm getting.
I don't hear gunshots yet, but we're good.
Oh, there's never gunshots. I mean, not to say never, but I don't
Yeah, in LA, no, there's never a gunshot. Well, it's hard to find a gun in LA, but that's another story for another day. Why would a dog not just eat the dog food instead of his beloved owners? I think that's a good question. And when
we
you
have
see,
to go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, when you see that image of David's hand, is that something that would be appealing to the dog? Because if it is, why didn't the dog eat it? If it isn't, why would he eat the right hand, both of Kamel's hands, and all of the daughter's arm? There's something
And
missing.
their heads.
And
Yeah.
their heads.
Now, listen, the dog eating the body parts, it holds some weight as far as the inconsistency of the poo of the waste from the
Right.
dog. They're viewing the waste. One could see how the dog was sustaining itself on from them. But that is the angle. This is why we have to see those photos, brother, is we have to determine, how about this? Where did those body parts, how were they removed? One, they were removed by the teeth of a beagle. Or two, they were removed by the knife that was found at the crime scene. Or three, question mark. You know what I mean? Like, how else could this have been done?
Yeah.
That's why it's difficult to say, like, where the frick is David's head? You know, why his shirt is pulled up a little bit. Wouldn't you just go for that, you know, the part where there's no bones and it's easy access? Why would you why do you go for the hand? You know, the hand that supposedly wrote Allah Akbar on the wall.
The trigger.
If there's no fingerprints, the trigger of the gun that's on his left side. If you look at the trajectory of where David, like, none of it adds up. There's no high velocity blood spatter anywhere. Like, what is going on? The trajectory of that, it doesn't. I take that back. The trajectory of the bullet is somewhat in line with where he is laying. However, look at the walls. Why isn't there any blood on the Christmas tree? Why isn't there any blood on the walls except down below? Don't make no sense. Where's all the blood on the carpet?
Yeah.
When they pull back that carpet, where's all the freaking blood? You would see blood seeping down to the basement.
You should.
From 3 bodies?
Yeah.
And I can understand why his weight changed so dramatically. I do believe that just from the accounts of people saying that he had lost weight, and reading what he's writing in his day one journal, I believe that, let's just say he lost 10 pounds. Okay. Now think about all the fluid and his head. Like, how much does a head weigh? 8 to 10 pounds? How much does a hand weigh? And think about all that blood, so I can understand why when they put him, when they held the autopsy with Lelinski, I can understand why the dramatic weight change. But it always bothered me how many freaking feet prints are around that house.
Yeah, why does that bother you? I mean, remember by this point, right? They've already entered. You can see the crime scene tape and everything. So by this point, they're pretty much setting everything up. This is the BCA video. Remember, the BCA didn't even arrive till later.
Listen, if I was a detective or investigator, I would have everybody follow one single path, one single file line, rather than tracks everywhere. The reason I say that is because the freaking back door is open, and this case don't make no sense. We got packages out front that, you know, are not weathered. Those packages bother me a little bit, not gonna lie.
No, I know. Yeah,
how could it snow that much? And if they were scattered and freaking next door neighbors puts them back together, you would think that there would be some wear and tear on the packages. You would think that, I don't know, the person who dropped off those packages would have some, I don't know, some kind of, just, hey, my brother never keeps these curtains open. Oh, but he saw paleo there.
Right? That's pretty crazy. What do you think about, here's another question here. The 2015 teaser has a character in a gray hoodie. We see him a lot more in the unofficial trailer where he says, "When this is over, will anyone remember us?" Who is this actor? How involved was he? I think this is one that was released. This was released obviously after David's death.
Do you have a 2015 teaser?
Yeah. If I go to their site, I may be able to pull that up if it's still on there. Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up. It looks like they've taken it down once again, but let me go to it. I do have it backed up somewhere. I've watched so many
like versions, like there's.
Yeah.
There's. I'd have to see it to know.
I do have it backed up somewhere. So, but
it was my understanding that there are 2 trailers. There's the original Gray State trailer, and then there's the second one.
This may be the one.
Wait, I've never seen that before. The very first shot. Oh wait, hold on. Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about that guy.
Oh wow! I've never seen this before.
So there were 2 that they've
seen that before.
Yeah, they put him up and they took him down.
Oh, now that makes sense with the snow. Okay.
Yeah. So,
oh gosh.
I don't know if there is. Maybe I should have unmuted it, but I don't remember any talking.
Well, check IMDb.
Yeah, so I do. The one that you're talking about, I do have that somewhere because.
Can you send that to me? I love when there's something new to to be unearthed. It could be it could be
It
nothing.
was something that was filmed back in 2013. But then we're talking about who has control of the YouTube channel. Danny August
Well, who has
Mason.
control over his Facebook page where the freaking profile picture keeps changing?
I wanted to get to that. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Sorry.
I wanted to show people that too.
What do you mean my thoughts? I told you about it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I want to get your thoughts on it.
You obviously know how I feel about it.
How did you find this thing?
Because I'm always like I said, whenever I have a break, for years, I just come back to the story and try to find everything I possibly can. Everything that's out there within, the internet world.
Okay.
What like I said, what I want to see, I don't want to see it, but I have to see it, are the, like the autopsy photo, and I need to corroborate what Lewinsky is saying. And if she believes, I need to see that she believes that this was due to dog scavenging. Now, I know that who was with her? Brian Bone? Or who is with her?
You're talking about
one of the two. They were present for all three of the autopsies.
Oh yeah. I'd have to go. I have to look at my books.
It's okay. It like I said, there's so many characters and so many things to know, but we know that those two were present. I need to be like, I need to look at this photo and be like, dude, this medical examiner really believes that this is from dogs? Or are the two chiefs there, kind of whispering in her ear? Like that January 6th premise, the January 6th Capitol attack. That's exactly what it is. It's like a premise. So before she's even pulled, unzip that blue body bag, she has been told that this is dog scavenging.
Right.
But does she know that there are 0 paw prints? Does she know that this dog had a giant bag of dog food in the kitchen? Does she know that this dog, no one ever heard a bark of this dog until 3 days prior to the neighbors calling 911? Does she know this dog's a freaking beagle? Does she know that they ever tested the feces?
That's a good one. Yeah, it looks like it was Brian Bone.
Yeah, it was Brian
Bone. And Sean McKnight. They were both present. Those are the only two that are present for all 3 autopsies.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's why I need to see those photos. That's why I'm doing this right now, is because I want people, whether it's on my channel or your channel, or people have been connecting me. Like I was going over the crime scene with the forensics analyst, and that hasn't panned to anything just yet. It may, but that's just one example. That's just one small example. Imagine, the day that I get the email, and I've gotten quite a few emails, people who want to talk about this case. It just hasn't happened to where I've talked to them about it. But it's just going to take that small army or large army to guide us.
Okay.
Because you and I are like, we have all the freaking fight. Like this is this is my stack.
It's a pretty good one. That's your stack right now. That thing's gonna grow. It's only gonna grow. You may have to move.
It may not, because it could be a process of deduction. Like I said, I think to me right now, one of the most pertinent thing is to view those photos and that video, because everything that they're telling us about you have all these talking mouths telling us what happened here, but we're seeing the data is not corroborating with what they're saying. But we don't have the photos. Like I said, it wasn't until that leaked photo that I really could grasp when they said that there's just a portion of David's skull intact, I'm like, how does that even work?
Yeah.
How does that even make sense? And now I see it in the I mean, he's a little far away, but now I can see it starts to come alive a little bit more often. And you see how he's sprawled out, just like Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, that photo doesn't show it, but
yeah,
that's the gun photo.
Yeah, here's the other
like
angle. We don't know if this is right or real.
Bro, the hair.
Everywhere.
The hair. That does not feel, there's just something about I could be wrong. Okay? I could be wrong. There's just a gut feeling. And having been on this case for many years, it feels like wig hair. That's not the color of her hair, of Kamel's hair. We know she dyed it. And if you look at Ranya's hair, it's very thin. She has very thin hair. This looks like wig hair and very dark. So you have wig hair scattered about the bodies, and now we have tufts scattered about the bodies, and now we have mandibles and perfectly placed bone fragments scattered about the bodies. We have the Quran perfectly scattered about the bodies. Well, what do we don't have scattered about the bodies? Blood!
yeah, there's only one.
Why is there no blood on any of them? That's what I need to see in these photos. I want to see a mist. You know, don't want to get morbid here, but somebody's going to have to do it. Somebody, you know, you realize that we're just, I mean, we're not just these flesh suits. We have a soul.
So Riley says in a video I have called "Is the Gray State Real?" The unofficial trailer is at 48:22. I got that pulled up. I want to play that here for you.
Okay.
Before we, I don't know if I have any audio or not.
All right, now Chris Peck's work makes sense now. Here.
Better quality of this one too.
This is when David had the shaved head.
And that's David he's fighting, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Creepy.
This is John Wannick of the Resistance.
Watch the mask.
Wow.
Look at the mask.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen this.
I saved this before they got rid of it.
This message is for anyone alert enough to realize the system is failing.
What does CTA mean? This looks rough. This looks rough. This does not have David's.
A Danny August Mason production.
This does not look like David's style. The music choice. This is not David's style.
This is over. Will anyone
It's not telling a story.
Depends on who wins.
Oh, he's got the mohawk too.
They both had a mohawk at the same time.
Be careful.
Wait,
with the
David
mohawk.
Crowley? David would never do that.
Inspired by real events.
Do you really want to die without making a sound?
Don't you get it? We're all that's left!
It's too late to be scared. And if this is the last gasp of American liberty, let it be us and make it loud.
I kind of got goosebumps. I liked it.
That regardless, it's not either that's a rough. That just doesn't have his.
That's Danny Mason taking old footage, mixing it with the little new things. Blah blah blah.
That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling somebody else kind of. David, I don't think David would ever put his name in the trait. No, that doesn't have. That trailer bothers me a little bit.
What don't you like about it?
The masks, like I understand.
The mask is pretty interesting because
I understand this guy. It
That's
with
Kamel's
the
sister,
truth.
by the way. That's either Kamel. I believe that's Kamel's sister who is in that mask.
What's interesting is that Kamel wasn't even in that one. That was such a wonderful shot of her too. And remember Kamel holding Rania, and that did not have David's talent. It didn't feel like David. But the mask thing, like,
it's pretty crazy.
I will say this, that during that time, you know, I believed in Alex Jones. I didn't know he was COINTELPRO at that time. But, you know, there's a lot of things that he talked about. And David was the kind of person who was he was absorbing truth ad nauseum, I believe. And even up to the moment when his computer stopped making log entries, you know, we could see what he's researching. To me, it looks like he's writing those last couple of entries and some personal, just curiosity questions that we all do from time to time. We're like, but dang, I mean, that's the mask thing.
Pretty crazy, right? I mean,
it's not like I said, it's not that far of a stretch because you had a film called Contagion, and
but this, I mean, this had to have been filmed at 2013. 2013. This had to have been. That's Kamel's sister, Kamel's younger sister there, with the mask on, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's just fascinating to me. It's very interesting.
I'd always wonder. I mean, is it possible? Remember downstairs in the basement in the shower, there's tubing, and that tubing to me looks like tubing for blood, like stage blood. It also reminded me of like a tubing. My dad used to make his own beer when I was a kid. It looked like that kind of tubing, but I believe it was.
Do you think it was maybe from a fish tank too? Because I know it kind of looks like something. Fish tank? They did have a fish tank in that basement at one point. Yes.
It's possible. Like, we can only go off of what the pictures show us, and when we don't have the bulk of the information, the bulk of that information is at the BCA.
Yeah.
This is why I'm doing this interview, is to gather guidance, gather an army of people together. Like, look, I have never seen that trailer before. This is what I'm talking about. I want to be able, and when it comes time to create this documentary, you know, I want to be able to text a group, have a group, you know, chat, say like, hey, does anybody have this picture? And get it like that. That right there will save me weeks of time, because doing January 6th, you know, no one's got it like I got it. You know, but I'll spend so long trying to figure out what I did with the file, and sometimes it can be very disorganized. But since you guys were on this case before I was on this case, that's something I've talked to you about before, and so I would like to create a large, you know, I don't know, 10 people or whatever, for that.
Mm-hmm.
While I'm putting it all out there. I want to get this consciousness going. I'll meditate about it. You know, I'm already seeing it in my mind. That's enough right now. I'm already feeling it in my heart. I know what I'm capable of doing. And like I said, if we want extraordinary results, we're going to have to rise to the occasion. And if you listen to what Danny August Mason or whatever that last line that they said,
stand up, man, right now, you know.
That's why I think it gave us goosebumps, because I think we're being called to step outside of our comfort zone and do something that we think may or may not be impossible. It's not impossible. It just takes a little bit of faith and some action. But I tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that Brother Yeshua has been telling me. He's like, you take that first step, I'm gonna take the second step.
Mm-hmm. Be right
you
there.
Show me that you're serious about this. You take that first step, and I'm gonna take it with you. And you know, I don't want anything. I don't want fame. I don't want money out of this. Obviously, I don't want. It's just something I feel like my soul has to do. And obviously, it may take our brothers and sisters to help us as far as donation goes. Like I have a donation page just to keep my apartment right now, and hopefully to get a new computer because I have a very old computer. And I think there's a fan slash friend who may be getting me a new computer.
Nice.
But I have all sorts of methods right now to figure out how. Okay, I don't want to continue to work a 9 to 5 job anymore, and so I haven't been. I've been working on this January 6th project for the last 2.5 years, and just trying to come up with creative ways to keep me in this chair and finish this work, which I believe is very important. So I'll have to come up with fun ways of like how to generate some. I haven't sold one of these yet, but I don't know if you can see that. I made this like last month, but I have these stickers that I made, just thinking of creative ways it's kind of like a double whammy. You're creating a collective consciousness because you know where this money is going. It's going to this guy and his family. But it's not. It's going to you. It's going to me, and it's going to the people that of his family and the souls on terra firma who have been affected by this case. But you and I know that if you're watching this right now, you are haunted by this case. So there's something in it for you to rally for us. If you're not going to do anything, at least keep us in your prayers, and at least keep the collective consciousness or the consciousness of that festering, if you will. Open up that that heart chakra and that solar plexus and let that shit shine. But if you decide you want to help, you can help in so many ways. You could call that your brother's cousin's uncle that you knew was a great detective, or he's a former police chief, or whatever. You could just by making that first step, you could send us $10 for a sticker. I think it's $9. I don't actually know. I can't remember how much it is.
That's a pretty cool sticker. I like that.
Thank you.
Do you like that?
I have more graphics too. Oh man, that's just the first one that I'm showcasing. I'm not going to show the other ones just right now because it's not. We're still in J6 land.
I could probably that would probably go nice.
I'll tell you what I would like to see. I would love to get all of y'all, the whole Gray Stage team together.
Yeah.
I think that freaking a league of their own. I want to make some magic, dude, and I'm gonna go alone. If y'all don't go, I'm going anyway.
Right.
But if Catherine, you decide you want to go, and Dan, you decide, and Sophia and the rest of y'all decide, you have time to start saving your money for a ticket to Minnesota. And who knows? Like, I just got a check in the mail last week for $1,000. It's happening in its own divine way, so if y'all decide you want to go, maybe one of us or a fan or whatever, we can get you there, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to say we are the biggest supporters of David and Kamala and Rania, but at least to my knowledge, the visual cues that I'm seeing are the people who have been working on this case like we have for years, and we're putting ourselves out there. We're putting all of our hypotheses and our theories and what makes sense and what that's a very raw stance to take. And yeah. I don't believe any of us are afraid of being wrong. In fact, we know that being wrong just points us in the right direction. It doesn't hurt our egos. So I would love that this is also a reunion, but I'm going to go and feel what I'm guided to do. And I know that the first step for me is to see those photos. Okay. The second step, I may need to hand out lots of flyers over a week and then have some type of rally or protest. But who knows? I may walk away from seeing those photos and feel something completely different. That's why I can't make the documentary first. The documentary has to come after this.
Well, after this task? Okay. Well, how about a trailer similar to what David Crowley did? He created this trailer and then had this showing, this viewing, and invited a bunch of people there. And then after that, we all go and stand outside of the Apple Valley Police Department and try to get some answers or something. Who knows?
You know what? That's actually a great idea. When you first started saying it, I was like, oh my God, more work the trailer would take.
You're like, dude, I already got enough.
People think that a
Make
trailer,
another
because
trailer.
it's 2 minutes long, dude, a trailer can take months.
Right.
But that's something
to think about.
I had visions of what this protest looks like. I actually had quite a few visions with all of this. This is something I think about on a daily basis, more so since April 16th. Like before April, I never thought of going to Apple Valley and doing anything.
What happened in April?
It just I've tried to talk about in other interviews before, and I would say that a communication a phenomenon began with Father and Yeshua, even though Yeshua came later. We'll just say Father. In the beginning was Father, okay. And there's a lot of other stuff. I'll tell you. I'll tell you when it's just us. Because I can't be having nothing. Like, I don't want. You know how they do that stuff, man. Like they'll find you saying something wackadoodle, and then they'll play it to discredit you. But I've touched on that before when we had that. If you remember, actually it was April 16th when we had that phone conversation with me, you, and Catherine, Sophia, and Dan. And remember the whole time I was crying on it, and the freaking thing lasted for 2 hours. That was the day this started. And we could talk about that later. I'm still trying to figure out what all of this is. But I'm also just kind of taking their cues and trying not to make sense out of it so much right now. Because when I tried to, my brain turns to mush. And I'm not going to lie, it's kept me away from Act 3, from January 6th to Act 3. I know we haven't even talked about that. But the final showdown of this saga that I've been working on for almost 3 years, it's kept me away for a couple months from that. But that will all change tomorrow, because I'm going right back to Act 3. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be thinking about this case, because I'm always thinking about this case. I think it occupies most of my hard drive, my brain hard drive. And all right. Which sucks, because you're in the middle of yoga and you're seeing body parts and whatnot, but I wonder if there's a reason for that. You know, a lot of people can't view those photos, and I don't think maybe before this started I could have either. When you sent me that leaked photo, it took weeks before I could actually look at it. And
I know I didn't hear from you for a long time actually. After that, I was a little concerned.
Well, you could always text me, and I'll always text right away.
Okay.
Because I didn't think it was helpful, because, like I said, I'm in Capital Land right now, but then I ended up viewing the picture, and like I said, it helps me understand everything. It helps me understand so much, because there's so many, like I said, there's so many photos that are missing from the BCA series. And when you see the freaking video, there's a giant puddle of blur, everywhere. So it could be difficult to really put yourself into what somebody like, I believe it's Jessica Lelinski, is seeing. Does that make sense to you? Like, I need to see the rigidity. I need to see what the cuts look like. I need to see it all before.
Well, the first two people that saw it were the next door neighbors.
Yeah.
And their accounts of what they saw are a little bit strange. When you have, I mean, let me ask you this: you've seen the photo. When you look at that photo, do they look like they're mannequins, just who were set up to make it look like they were home when they weren't?
I have put myself in Judy's shoes quite a bit.
Well, I'm talking about Colin because Judy.
Okay, well, with Colin, okay, let's say Colin as well. Knowing that your next door neighbor is a filmmaker and knowing that they're bringing props in and out of the house, and I guarantee you David's come home with blood on him before because we know that one of the characters is even as myself as a filmmaker, I was arrested for shoot. I was trying to make the next Scream 4. I was so young at this time. We were shooting in this abandoned house, and the cops came, and I was, I had the Ghostface Killer mask on, and I had an actual knife in my hand, and I was arrested or I was detained and put in the back of a cop car. But I understand what that looks like, and I know that he had props and things like that. So when it comes to saying that they're mannequins, that doesn't bother me.
Really?
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. As a filmmaker, you've got blood, you've got pyrotech, you've got all sorts of things. Okay, and they knew he was a filmmaker, and it doesn't look with the naked eye, especially somebody who's never seen this before. I could understand the way that they're positioned, all of it. It doesn't. I'm not saying.
I mean, does it look like they were set up to make it look like they were home when they weren't?
Well, I know
that's what the police. That's what the police report.
I know that the light weren't the lights. Say that again.
So how the three bodies were laid out? Like, okay, if the scene was staged,
sprawled out like this.
I know, like that's why this makes absolutely no sense, because if they were made if they were set up to look like they were home when they weren't, they'd be sitting on the couch. If they were actually mannequins, they would not be out there in the way that they looked. It makes absolutely no sense to me. It's just strange. It's strange that they would think that they're mannequins set up to look like they were home.
I think when you're in those few moments of and they don't. No, it did not. I'm not saying that.
No, I'm
not saying that.
There's no right or wrong answer here. It's just.
Listen, what I'm saying is not. I'm just saying that I put myself in their shoes, and when you see that initially, like, I could see why he would think that they were mannequins. I could see why. I do understand why they would think that the dogs, were feasting on them, because the dog was there, and then we have all these missing body parts. Yeah, I think it's a little strange that she said suicide, but the gun's right there, and it's not as alarm. It was kind of like, but it wasn't enough to be like, okay, Judy's in on this.
Right. Well,
that's not to say Judy's not a part of this. It's just a gut feeling. When I listen to that 911 tape, it feels organic. It doesn't feel staged. It feels from the heart. It feels like she is detailing what she is seeing. It seems weird to us, but so does everything. It's like everyone's a suspect in this case, even freaking Paleo. So it's your job. It's your job to kind of check in with your gut and your heart, but it's okay to think. If you think that it's weird, then that's your contribution. That's what you're feeling. That doesn't mean it's wrong. We're only looking for the answers.
Right. No, I think it's freaking weird. I think it's one of the weirdest 911 calls that I've ever heard.
Yeah, but this must be one of the most strangest cases that we've ever worked on.
Yes, definitely.
This is bizarro world.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good lesson for people what not to do when you call 911. Just tell them what you see, report what you see, and that's it. Don't tell them what you think. You know,
Yeah,
because
but I think
we learned later on that
I think we do that. I think her brain is filling in the gaps. If I stuck my head through
she's
that
making it
window,
up. She's
but she's
making it up
not. She's
because she
assess.
is.
No, she's not. She's
She
assessing the situation. She sees the bodies there. She sees how they're laid out. She sees that there's missing pieces to them, and she sees the gun. Her brain is trying to make sense of it. You could hear her trying to make sense of it over the phone.
It sounds like
I
she's reading
just
off a script to me, but
I don't feel that way at all.
yeah.
That's not to say that, like I said, everyone's a suspect. I just don't feel that in my heart regarding that because I'm also going for motive, but like I said, I'm also going for.
I don't believe she's a suspect, but I also don't believe that the Gray State Goons are suspects either. So that's a whole nother issue.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I know a lot of people they disagree with me on that.
You've seen that Ben Swan interview.
I've seen the Vince Swan.
Okay,
interview.
just making sure.
Yeah.
Just making
there's
sure.
there's a difference between being
and I know those
accessory.
text messages. Wait, excuse me, being an accessory?
Yeah, there's a difference between being a suspect and being an accessory after the fact, right? I'm not saying. I mean, a lot of these things look
that
like.
Still makes you a suspect.
Okay.
That still okay. I get okay. That's where you draw the line. Okay, fine. I can feel the same way about it as well. But you still know. You know what happened. It is all over your face. It's all over your text messages. It is so clear as day that you know what happened to this family. And that makes you a suspect to me. Whether you pulled the trigger or not, if there was a trigger to be pulled, I mean.
Well, they could be scared to come forward, right? They could just be afraid.
Listen, I understand that. I have compassion. I understand that they may be scared to come forward. It still don't make them not a suspect.
True, but they may have been blackmailed. They may have been threatened. There may have been things in the background that we don't know about. Things of saying, hey, if you start talking about David Crowley is guilty, we're going to talk about your tax stuff. We're going to pull up things from your past history.
Like we don't know who you're talking about right now. Listen, absolutely. Fear can make people do or not do many things. But to me, it doesn't mean I totally understand. I really do. But it's those are cues. Listen, I'm all about getting this case solved. Like whether, I mean, like, yes, I care. I don't want to say this. If they could be facing some type of death penalty for releasing this information, yeah, I care about that because I don't want. It's just how far do we want to take this? We want to get this. What happens after that is not up to me. Okay? Whatever happens to anyone is not up to me. But I feel on a soul level, on an etheric soul level, that I've been drawn to this case for many, many years. And I just stopped asking why. Because if our simple human brains are trying to figure out why, I could come up with a list of why. But then my brain will be like I said, there's other people who need my attention. I live in LA. Like, why aren't you building a shelter for these homeless? You know what I mean? Like, there's things that the brain can trick you with.
Mm-hmm.
Obstacles that your brain traps, and you have to. Basically, that's when you go within. Like I said, we're gonna take this case to a metaphysical level. I'm not playing around here. We're not doing anything. We're not doing anything around here the old-fashioned way anymore.
Well, I mean, when they start talking about demons and they start talking about presence and a manifestation and things like that, like, how do you not take that into
brother. Let me tell you,
consideration.
if I had read this before his day one journal before April, I might have thought bro was a little wackadoodle. But having been going through what I've been going through, especially in the beginning of April, like that, the rest of that month, woo, that was so freaking tough, man. And when I read it, and I have it, and by the way, what a freaking great poet he is. Like, that wasn't just his thoughts, that is poetry. The word choices are just they're wonderful, they're beautiful. I that should be like a freaking coffee table book. I'm very alarmed at how it just stops in November. It doesn't make any sense to me. My gut
And
says,
isn't it really strange that in the Apple Valley police reports they say it ends in September?
well, bro, we know. Okay, hold that thought really quick, because I brought up the day one journal. If I hadn't been going through what I have been going through since April, I would have thought this is really weird. But I really identified with. I really, really got a grasp of what this guy is talking about. Truly. Some weird shit's been going on in my life recently, and that's just my brain trying to come up with an American way of how to describe it to the audience in real time. I probably wouldn't use that word weird, but it is freaking interesting, to say the least. It's intriguing. I am so captivated by it. That's why I said I'm such a little schoolgirl for father and brother Yeshua. I ain't got no shame. So reading, and I would say a big storyline for or the lessons that because they set up all these lessons for me to learn, and there'll be like a thread, and that thread is compassion and love, and which had been difficult living in LA, you know.
Yeah.
To really it's I don't want to say it's an art, but it just takes practice. And I totally understand him. I understood him more after reading the Day One Journal. And you know, and it's a shame that they redacted all the lovemaking scenes with him and Kamel, because I understand, like, you know, I don't really. I guess they're trying to protect him or whatever. But think about this for a second. As much as they were, you know, having some sexy time, and as much as he talked about it and was excited about it, and the different positions and things that they were doing, how that was all redacted. It's just not something you see from someone who. It's just not. It's just more evidence that David's innocent, if that makes any sense. The way it's like he's finding a new love in his wife and his daughter, and in life itself, and just kind of living their own way. He has a word. Oh, I think it's called fuck all. He calls it fuck all. There's another great teacher out there that calls it TikTok, and that's living in this world, this kind of 9-to-5 world. You know, you wake up and you go to your job to make the money just to live, instead of doing things your way, which people don't really like when you do things your way. You're kind of an outcast. And I totally understand why I do believe that David was distancing himself from a lot of people in his life. I think when you start to go through, that's why like a lot of people who found brother, found father, are going through a spiritual journey, they may find themselves in a divorce because they're starting to look at everything in a completely different way, and they may come to the realization, like, my needs aren't being fulfilled here, or their needs aren't being fulfilled here, and there's just more awareness, more consciousness, more information, and there was a reason why I mentioned all that, and I've forgotten. But the day one journal is very helpful. It bothers me that it just ends abruptly because the journal has it's almost like anthropomorphized in the way that he cares and speaks to the journal. It's, you know what I mean? Like, he beats himself up when he doesn't take the time to speak to the journal or things like that.
Yeah.
And for it to just stop without any, it just ends up. That's just not something he would. That's not. I'm feeling like there's more to the story there.
Yep, I would agree.
And then to hear that there's a second journal, a handwritten journal, which bothers me that a certain person knows that information. Like, how would you know that?
They're eating what people are feeding, I would say.
We need to understand why certain people are doing certain things.
Right.
Why are you trying to convince me of this? Why are you saying this? You know, why are you setting up certain GoFundMes?
Yeah.
There's as much shadiness as at the crime scene, there's shadiness in the aftermath as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the last page of the day one journal here. So we have 162 pages. There may be more.
Is that the one he says where he feels like he's being watched?
Yeah. So this is interesting because you look at this photo here from November 3rd, 2014 at 4:43 p.m. Now, across the street is the last guy that will ever see David alive. So he's looking out this window here, I believe on Christmas Eve, and sees David. And it's I don't know. I'm not saying it's related to that, but it's just a very strange image, a very strange thing.
Well, what does
very
it
strange
say?
date.
Let's see. Everything is so still. It's like being watched. Yeah, I see you too. Now, I believe that's his front door that he's looking out the. It's hard to see because the phone's so far away. When I looked at, I personally I disagree because there's two houses in the picture. Secondly, if you look at the day one pictures, it seemed like this picture will like it. He took one photo and that's what's making it in. These were not like let's pose for the camera type pictures. It was just what he's feeling, and
Right.
And maybe that feeling of being watched is happening in that moment, or that's the location of I believe he was starting to get in touch with something deeper.
That could be.
And let me read that real quick. Oh,
Sure.
when you realize everything you're munching on last night.
So this is from the next day, Tuesday, November 4th, 2014. And yeah, he's talking about yesterday. Remember yesterday when you saw it was 333. Now these numbers are key. 333, that's a very interesting number. And you realize
I see it several times a day.
Yeah. He's talking about Adam and Eve here. Munching the apple.
I believe I remember looking up the Garden of Gethsemane.
The 333 is pretty interesting here too, and I think you got to be careful.
Several times a day.
Yeah,
I know what you mean, but with the Masonic, because Freemasons have 33, and I was just reading. I'm reading a book about Brother and the Essenes and his time at Mount Carmel, and with the mystery schools at Qumran.
Oh, there you go.
And they talk about the number 33, how it has such a powerful meaning, and
well,
what they're referring to is the spine.
Right, but remember, 333. If you double that, it's 666.
Yeah, but if you add it, it's 9, which is the God code. But I learned last night just from reading the book that when we're talking about 33, we're talking about the spine. Now, if you want to think of, that's why you have to be careful when you see numbers and things of that nature.
Yeah, I
because,
stay away from that stuff for that
well,
reason.
no, I believe, like, I have books on Freemasonry because, one, I want to understand what they're learning about, and I find it to be very intriguing. But some of this stuff comes from some of these teachings. Now, when they say that there's 33 degrees of Freemasonry, I understand how they're kind of flipping that on its head, or they're being blasphemous when they're you know what I mean? Like, I think that, listen, as long as your soul is incarnate on this earth plane, keep learning. Just because you're learning about Freemasonry doesn't. I have people who are like, oh my God, he was learning about Freemasonry. He has a book on Aleister Crowley. Like, he must be one of them. And it's just so infuriating because it's like, okay, this is where your power of deduction, this is where you stop. Is right here. This is what makes sense to you. All right, that's okay. I mean, I used to do it too when I would see certain celebrities hold certain symbols up, and the more I learned about brother and the more I learned about father, I'm learning more about these symbols, but in a totally different way. And I learned the influences. I learned where these Egyptian influences are coming from because they were influenced by brother as well.
Right.
And with the Essenes.
What do you think about this one? Because this is the final one for November 5th in their house. This looks very different.
November 5th? I thought it ended on the 4th.
No, ended on the 5th here. So this looks very different from what they are showing us.
Is that the last entry?
This is the very last entry. The strange thing is, look at what it says down here.
I thought the
Rania, date of birth, November 5th, 6:35 or so. This makes absolutely no sense. That is
but it makes sense to him.
It's not her birthday. It's not her.
Yeah, I thought that was strange too, because I'd wonder. You know what? You're right. That is the last photo, because I'm like, wait a minute. She had her birthday in August.
Right. So this makes no sense. So,
but I will say that if somebody I've been keeping a journal.
Yeah.
As well since April. If somebody were to open this journal, they would be asking these same questions as you, like, what
is this?
What does this make sense?
Look at this one on the second.
So knowing life is like that, it could have been a dream. It could have been something maybe he researched her astrological, like, I don't know. But these, while it's very helpful, every detail is helpful. Like I said, for me, I want to see the main piece of this case. The main piece of this case are those photos. To me, are the photos that they're keeping from us. And so that's why I need to understand how to view these photos. Mm-hmm. And like I said, if that means going there to view them, I will do just that. I'm going to submit my own FOIA requests, because, bro, there's just so many angles of this case that don't make sense. The Klokonos, the Klokonos affidavit, the Tony Floyd thing. There's nothing about this that makes sense. And I'll let you know, like,
go ahead.
I'll let you know if I ever come to a day where I feel like, would you stop, Wooz? If I come to a day where I believe, David did it, or if he staged it, I'll let you know, and I'm not going to move any forward. But
sure,
you would think after all these years that I would have come to that conclusion, and
I just
don't feel it.
Yeah,
I just don't feel it.
Yeah, I think once you are able to get the J6 stuff done, and you really just and I'm kind of concerned about it too, because when your whole focus is just on the Crowley case, and I'm not saying you may not be looking at other things, doing other things. I don't think you're going to obsess, hopefully not, to where it's just this is your whole life here, but you got to be very careful about that.
What do I need to be careful about, Greg?
Because there's some there's some weird spiritual evil presence type
I'm
things
protected.
that are involved in this case here, and so
Father has assured me that
careful.
I'm protected and I feel protected. And I listen, like I said, in the beginning of doing this, I did not. I felt some demonic entity. Well, it's not that I felt demonic entities. It's that I felt the fear of something happening to me in a David Crowley fashion. And that plagued me, I mean, honestly, years, but I mean, pretty much since I've been working on this case, which has been years. Like I said, if it wasn't for going through this period in my life right now, this just kind of, I don't know, paranormal, super, phenomenon, spiritual phenomenon, because everything kind of goes back to Father and Brother Yeshua, and there's other characters involved. Don't get it twisted, but I just spend way too much of my time in life living in fear that look, demon come, I'm gonna figure out a way to deal with it.
I know, but you got to be smart about it too. You don't want to open up doors that should not be open. You know what I mean?
Well, but then I would have that wherewithal to know to
That's
not
true.
open this door.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean?
Yeah.
And I think that if I'm fearful, that's gonna cloud my judgment. But bro, if I signed a contract to come back to this earthly plane to do exactly what I'm doing right now,
And you got to do it.
I don't want to. This could be letting down not only these three people, but potentially millions of people. And like I said, you'll never know that domino effect because there's over 1 million of us who know about this. And there's probably a lot of other cases out there that are just as shady. I'm just saying that the domino effect that it could have on the rest of humanity, just like January 6th event, you know,
Yep.
the domino effect that's having and still continues to have every day. I get messages, I get emails from people every single day of how they started editing again or how they decided that they were going to do this or do that. Like there was an impetus or an inspiration that they got from it. So that for me has been really fun to see like how I can influence this time and space continuum, this earthly plane, which I believe is why we're here anyway, to help people and influence and basically play the game instead of being spectators, because that's what we do. We go to work and we come home and then we turn on the computer or our phones and then we're lost and we're spectating. We're watching. It's like bread and circuses, but you don't even have to go to the arena anymore. You just have to stay at home on your in the safety of your comfortable home. But if you get out of that safety net, if you get out of some comfortability for a while and you start playing, it's a little bit like Neo, how Neo didn't want to play the game. And Neo was given the choice. And Neo decided, all right, let's pick up, because it's a video game in a way.
Right.
So if you start to see it that way, go get those little coins, go save the princess, go eat that mushroom. Go grow your tail. Like we all know, I think because we're, like I said, I don't want to say we're dumbed down, but we're living in a place of, I mean, it's a case by case basis, but let's say there's some stalemating going on. There's some stagnation going on. There's people who have not been in touch or in tune with this chakra here, and I am guilty of that as well. Like this is still, I'm still working with this. Yeah, this to me is quite all right.
Good. Very good.
It's this one. It's the most. I mean, I don't know if it's maybe the most important. Okay, it is the most important one. Yeah, I guess there's a hierarchy. Okay, there's a hierarchy.
There's a hierarchy.
Regarding the chakras.
Now,
any more?
Yeah, I got a few more. I think we're getting down to the end here, but I do have. I did want to go through the ring. David's ring.
Oh, I would
Click
love to see
image.
that. And again, I can be the worst at interrupting people. I'll just say that for all future everything. I
It's all good.
apologize because something comes into my head and then it may vanish. And if I don't, I could write it down. But I would love to do this with the whole freaking Brady Bunch cast. I want it to look like I said the title sequence for the Brady Bunch. I want Catherine, Sophia, and Dan and Zombie Rick, and there's quite a few people that I don't know about.
Sure.
You happen to have, like I think his name is Mike, the Army veteran that served with David.
Yes.
You know, I want him to at least know about this. I want these characters to start generating this idea that something is happening with this. Okay, and just like Eric Nelson, you know, gathered up all these people to I don't want to say speak ill of David, but to speak in a way that's going to be used against David, we're going to do the exact opposite of that.
Right.
So I want to get as many people out there that are related to him in the sense that they knew him with his physical body, because we're all related to David because we're all an extension of Father. So
That's right.
all of our brothers and sisters, they're all relatives. But I'm saying that the body that he was inhabiting in terra firma, those people who are around him. Testimony is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for testimony. Yeah, look, we're looking for testimony. We're looking for donations. We're looking for people who are in these specific positions that can guide us through this terrain of getting this case to be opened again. So I believe, you know, write out your wants, Greg. Have everybody write out their wants. What do they? Obviously, we know the end results to have the case reopened. But I've told you my wants. I want to go to Apple Valley if I have to. I would prefer to just have it all sent to me. That way I don't have to go there. But there's a part of me that actually wants to go there because I may really want to have a protest and a rally. And I mean, bro, I'll call Tom Lydon himself and be like, you got to get down here. There's this massive protest outside the ABPD. You know, I'm down to stage shit. You know, stage it in that regards. Like, obviously, it's organically. No one's paying me to go and protest. But if you only have one shot at this, I'll do whatever it takes to get the camera crew, because that's just going to put pressure on them. We got to think in terms like that. So now you know my two wants. I want to see these photos and documents. I would also like to interview some people, and I would like to have some type of rally or some type of protest, preferably outside of the Apple Valley Police Department. But, you know, we could be friends with the lady or the people who live at 1051 Ramsdale Drive. I may want to go there. Like, I've been so invested in this case for so long, and just stayed up so many nights just crying about this case. I have cried quite a bit about this case. I've also lived in great fear about this case, but I've also lived in some great joy of the thought of being able to really make a difference in this world. And it doesn't stop with this case, but we've been doing this back and forth dance for years, and now it's time to pick up our shield and our sword and go into battle. At least for me it is. So what I was trying to get at is that I would love to know, as a group mind, all of your wants. I'd also love to have a little reunion for all of y'all. I know you guys have been talking to each other at least on a weekly basis for years. It'd be great to get y'all together, but to also I believe in energy and I believe in consciousness, and when you start playing in that realm, it's some very interesting and fun things will start to happen. So you know my wants. I would love to have, like, I don't know if it needs to be filmed or not, whether it is or not, it's irrelevant, but I'd love to have every single person together. Like I said, Dan, Catherine, Sophia, and you and I think there's like 3 or 4 others that are behind the scene that I can't remember their names right now, but I'd love to get us all together in one room and just start talking about this. Oh yeah, but think about this for a second. It's like I have almost 6,000 subscribers on BitChute. I have 15,000 subscribers on YouTube. I have 5,000 subscribers on Rumble. You have, I'm sorry, I don't know how many subscribers you have. How many subscribers do you have?
I don't know. I don't know either.
Right. Okay, you have subscribers. I know that the Justice for David Crowley page, just because I happened to recently look at it, has like 11,000 subscribers. I'm not really good at math, but if you add that all together, it's a lot of people. And it just takes that one person. So I have no fear of that this is not going to reach the people that we need it to, because between all of us, we have the viewership. And it just takes that one person to be like, yo, my cousin down in Sheboygan is a retired, police chief, private, he knows this case like the back of his hand. Not only does he want to send you guys some money to figure this out, but he says to fill out this form and you can do this and da-da-da. Bro, we're talking about it now. It's happening. It's already coming together. So I'm sweating like a pig.
Oh, good. We'll just go a few more minutes here, if you don't mind, because I did.
Yeah, you had a question, or
yeah, I did. I did want to show you this. So this is DSC 300.
Can you zoom in on that?
I will zoom in on that. So this is the only image. This was one of our group members that found this. That said, "Hey, what's this ring here?"
This is what I'm talking about. We need to have like we need to have like a huddle, like in football or other sports. I don't do sports, so I do the game of life. That's my sport.
Football.
Can you zoom in a little bit more?
Sure.
Well, I suppose you can huddle in soccer too, no?
Yeah, or maybe rugby too. I don't know, but okay. All right, hold on. Oh, I hate Dropbox for this reason,
okay.
But here we go.
More.
More. Okay.
Yeah, more. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
Oh, look at I'm gonna go ahead and look at this because I remember this from a while ago, but see, whenever you get new information, it's just like, what the WTF? Is that blood inside the ring? Now you can see that picture a whole lot better than I can. Do you believe there's blood inside that ring? Yes or no? Just gut instinct.
Yes.
Okay, great. Why did they take that off of him? Is that protocol? This is where we need to understand, just like when we were speaking with Alan Hostetter, and this, look, so this is a question now that we're going to have for Alan Hostetter. Alan, who used to be former chief of police, who is now, one of the innocent J6ers who happened to be there to support Trump. I don't agree with Trump, but I agree with somebody's intention when they believe that we are being served by a tyrannical government and that they want to go there for their support, and that they're innocent bystanders with January 6th, and these are the people that are being sent to jail. You guys have to understand that. So this guy has become a friend of mine over the last 2 years. Anyway, he's going to be sentenced on the 13th of October, and he's preparing for the worst. It could be, who knows what could happen to him. So I only wanted to fill that in case people were like, who the heck is Alan Hostetter?
Yeah, and we're also praying for him. We're praying for the best, but we also know that, whatever God's will is, wherever God wants him, that's
you're
where
sounding like Alan. Yeah, exactly. You sound like Alan right now because.
But it's peaceful.
Too.
How come all the peaceful people are the ones that are being? I don't even get me started on January 6th.
It just pisses me off, and Alan has been going, which I love this too. Alan has he started whatever spiritual phenomenon that he is currently experiencing now. His started before mine. His started a few months before mine, and we used to speak every day on the phone. But I just get chills when we. He's really one of the only few people I can talk to about what's been going on with me because he freaking gets it, And it's come to find out, like, I never thought to ask a former detective, hey, what do you think about this story? So I think we should also figure out if is this protocol or not, because now we have some type of authority figure to tell us, well, this person who used to be chief of police, who used to be a detective, has told us that this is not typical protocol. Now, I don't know if it's typical protocol to remove the frickin' ring. Well, why didn't they remove the bracelet? Like, you know what I mean? Why are they taking things off and moving them? That makes no sense to me. Why would you take the ring off and move it? Now, there does look, I forget what the word is, but it's the kind of the compression that like Kamel's corset made. There does seem to be a slight compression with where his ring finger is, but I would suspect more. That's just, that's more of just kind of shooting the shit right now as we're going through this piece. Something that I had never, a clue like this that is just, I'm telling you, man, everything about this freaking case is just like, why would they take the ring off? What's the motive there? Was the ring on or off before? Who was the first one there? I think it was Bone.
The first
was Brian Bone?
The first
and Sean
detective? Well, the first responders were different. They're not really mentioned. They get their job done. Boom, done. The first detective, may have been. I'd have
regardless,
to
we
look that up.
could see these are all these little things that we know, but just we have to like. These are those fine finessed things that are irrelevant / very relevant.
Well, this was Jim Gummert's crime scene. So he's the one. He's informed. He's the one who is leading this. Detective Jim Gummert. Do a whole show just on him. The crazy thing about that ring, though, and I want to go back. I'm just going to pull that up for people to see. The crazy thing for me about this ring. Look at this. I mean, first of all, why is this ring here now?
Yep.
There are two different things. So, was David's ring taken off before he was killed? That would be the first question.
Right, exactly. And then why is there blood on the inside of it?
Why is there blood on the inside and possibly the outside?
Exactly. Why was the ring? What is the impetus for having the ring removed anyway? Okay.
And why wasn't it tested? And why is it not mentioned? Back? It's not mentioned in any of the police.
It's not an item. You're right. It's not an item.
And why not? That would be one of the biggest ones, I would think.
I would also like to know if it was real gold. That's just a minor question.
It looks silver to me. I could be wrong, but it does look silver.
I would be curious if it was silver or not.
And then
I would love to know is where the frick is that ring?
Well, why is it on this table? Because there is a table that is closer to where David's hand is. This is not anywhere close to
where the books
David
are.
is.
You're talking about where the books and the pencils are.
Yeah. On that same table.
Since we're on the subject of crime scene photos, from the limited crime scene photos that we have,
very limited, and we don't have them all. That was the other thing.
That's why I'm saying I'm going to Minnesota. Missing. I'm going to Minnesota, and we're gonna see them, brother. We're gonna see all these photos. Okay, trust. I'm already seeing it in my head. We're going to be there. Well, I'm going to be there. I can't speak for you. Notice that there's Morse code at the front door. Pull up a picture of the front door and notice the Morse code going down. Now, I know that David was talking about Morse code in his day one journal, and that could be something that David wrote there. I have yet to determine what it means, but I would love if somebody out there could determine, if they know Morse code, what this means. But there is definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, Morse code at the front door.
At the front door, like on the roof?
Front door. No, at the front interior door below the handle.
Oh, the interior. Okay, let me go to the interior.
On the inside of the door. Was that front door locked? I believe it was.
The front door was locked, yes.
Yeah. And then I remember seeing, because there's the BCA photos and then there's the DSC, which is just the digital camera. I feel, and this could be me just kind of shooting the shit, but I feel like the contents within the trash can changed. Because one time I'm feeling like the trash can, not the exterior recycling bins.
Mm-hmm.
No, not that. But the next to the sink. I feel like, because remember I've been asking you, where's all the freaking wrapping paper? You know?
Yeah.
Where are all the presents at the freaking Christmas tree? That means that I believe, yeah, that's the front door. Yep, it's there. There's better pictures. It goes all the, they do a really, yep. There's another one too that shows it.
It's probably in the BCA. The BCA ones are better than the DS.
Yeah, then it must be the BCA ones. But make no doubt about it, there's Morse code there.
Oh, I haven't looked at that. All right, I'm gonna have to go check.
I think it's probably David because he does talk about that. That's something very specific, but somebody did photograph it. It could mean nothing. I mean, it could mean something to David, which would mean something because you want to know as much about not only the subjects, but about what happened, just to have things make sense, you know? So it's like, bro, did the teeth of the dog remove these body parts, or did that knife remove these body parts, or different? You know what I mean? Like, that's why we have to see.
Where are you seeing this Morse code?
100%. No, there, and it's not. Keep going. It's either a BCA photo. It is a clear. It's not from the side. It is right in front of the door. Yeah, I think that's the one. Maybe there's another one, but if you zoom in, look under the door in pencil, there's Morse code. Do you see it?
I don't see it in that one.
Maybe try a different one.
Okay. I'll have to look more. There's a couple different sets of that front door too. There's some that are taken actually 1 month later.
No, keep going.
Okay.
Like I said, it could mean nothing, but I just wanted to tell you. No, then there's Al Akbar. No fingerprints. Bro, no, I think that first picture you showed me, it's there 100%. There's pencil Morse code under the door handle 100%.
Okay.
I'm 100% sure about this. I just brought it up because of the ring. Some of these, some of these. How about this? I believe I have it saved.
Okay.
I could just type. I mean,
if I know what the number if I know what number it is, I can quickly look it up. But I'm
just curious as to what it meant. But the ring is something that I hadn't really. I didn't think about it too much.
Yeah, the ring. What's crazy is it's. I mean, they have other photographs of that same ring area, and then they have other photographs where the ring should be, and it's not there. And so I document it. It's not in BCA 4429. It's not in DSC 254. It's not in BCA 4429, which is an interesting one. I think this is one I have up here right now, actually, because you can still see some of the body. So the bodies are still here. There's no ring on that table. So that ring must be on the ground somewhere.
Where is this? What door am I looking at right now? I'm sorry, it's not below. It's not below it, it's above it. My bad.
But that same door? The same door?
This file I have is merab9eq.jpg.
What color is the door? Is it white?
It's the photo that you had earlier, but it's above it.
It's above it. Okay.
When I originally saw it, I thought it was like he was measuring Ranya's height, but as you could see, obviously, they lived there for it's. I believe it's Morse code. Yeah.
You're talking about this right here.
Yeah,
Okay.
those markings. If you go in deeper, it looks like Morse code.
That's I've never heard that. That's a new one. That's very interesting.
I thought of this before I read the Day One Journal because if you look at more, this is how it's written. Like I said, I originally thought it was like a parent checking off, as their kid ages, but I think she only grew 1 year. She's obviously not that height, and nobody would ever measure their kid there with the doorknob being in the way. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, that's really interesting.
So I was always curious if somebody was proficient in Morse code, if they could tell us what that meant. But maybe we'll find out one day.
That's very interesting. I sure hope so.
So,
all right, my friend.
Because,
well,
if they are initials, or if they are, I don't know, if yeah, it could have been construction. But when you look at the photo, first of all, why would there be like, if you go in now, the photo that you're looking at is not the photo I'm looking at. I'm looking at a more closer image. But when you go in, it looks intentional. It looks like Morse code.
Like
it does not look like. It doesn't look like that this was construction based. And if let's say it is construction based, why on the door? For what? What's the purpose? The way it just.
Well, even like the door.
This could mean nothing, but I believe in my heart so far, because I'm happy to be wrong, that this is Morse code. Excuse me, Morse code. And I believe this before I read the Day One Journal and David's fascination with Morse code. Once I read that in the Day One Journal, I was like, oh, it was perhaps David who wrote this, because I had often wondered if it was someone else.
Let me bring up something strange that Sean Wright had said. I don't know if he said this to me or to Dan Hinnon, but that the police had to kick in the front door, which I thought was kind of weird. And separately, other people have actually speculated on this door. And is this the same door? Was this door kicked in? You can see the wood paneling looks a little bit off. In other photos, the inside of the door looks like it may have been recently added. In the basement, there is another door. So I don't know. It was just weird.
Yeah, but wouldn't that mean that it doesn't function? The door doesn't function, and why are they kicking down the door when they know that the back
is open?
The back is open.
Well, that's just more of Sean Wright just trying to mislead us.
This is. But why? There you go. We need such a. I know you guys have a really great timeline, but if that's in there, that we need to include that. This is part of the investigation. Someone says, yes, I believe that the testimony of someone that knew him, that has some type of insight into this
Rolodex
case.
This is Rolodex. Yeah.
That needs to be documented, and it needs to be a part of the timeline. So if he's saying that was, in fact, if the door was, we need to find out if it was, in fact, kicked down. And if it was not kicked down, we need to pay Mr. Wright a visit and ask him why he said that.
Yeah, there's no reason to think that the door was kicked down.
And if you look at, there's I forget whose sink it is. It's definitely not David and Kamel's, which is just... I'm like, bro, it could have been washed, because there's so much toothpaste spatter everywhere. There is a sink. I believe it's Ranya's, and it's always bothered me. Like I said, it could be nothing. And since we're all friends here, we're, sometimes with investigations, you speculate, because you're putting things together, and there's nothing. I think with an open, for me, this is still an open investigation.
Sure.
you know, you don't want to finger certain people, but I'm very curious as to that sink. There's a sink in there with spots that just bothers me. I believe
That's
it's
bedroom sink. Yeah.
no, I'm not talking about the white spots. I'm talking about the red spots. I thought it was Ranya's sink.
No, that's the master bedroom sink. I'll pull that up here.
Oh, I think you're right. I think Ranya's is the one with the toothpaste. There's the toothpaste sink with the glass bowl.
Yeah.
And then there's the, like, what the frick is that? What is that?
Yeah, let me pull that up here for you.
What is that?
That's one of them. There may be a few other good angles. There should be a really good angle here.
It looks right into the sink.
Right. All right, let me just go back a little bit.
But it is a white basin, that's for sure. It's not the clear one.
Yeah, and the so I'm looking at
I hadn't heard you guys talk about that, and maybe you have in a video. There's some things that I feel like people haven't talked a lot about, and it's, for me, it's the sink, it's the hair, and it's the tuft. Now, I could understand if Paleo tore up that animal, but the way that it's, bro, just the way it looks like a circle, like almost like a circle. How the hair... Yeah, there it is. Zoom in on that, please. Is that the one? Yep, that's the one. Like, what? It just...
And it's all over. It's all over.
And
where everything else
is it red? Is that red to you? Does that have a red feel? Because it looks red to me.
It looks red to me. There was questions. Well, is that from the bong water? Is that from?
Is that his bathroom?
This is their master bedroom bathroom. Yes.
You know what? That's actually, well, look, see, questioning what the frick this is great, because I had never thought of that. I have to determine what the color is, but those very well could be ashes. Now, we know when David was the last few things that he was searching, and we know what time that was. We know that anybody who enjoys cannabis, and sometimes I might enjoy some cannabis, you're not going to leave the freaking thing open like that, because one, he has kids, and obviously he's smoking in the bathroom because it's ventilated and he doesn't want to do it around his kid, and it's probably illegal where he lives. You don't, because it looked like he was actively grinding his weed.
Yes. He was in mid grind, or had just finished grinding.
So if that is, let's say it's, I mean, unless somebody else is going to say what it is, it could be blood spatter. It could be weed ash, which is a really great guess, because at this point, that's what we have to do right now, because we don't know.
From the bong water.
So that means that the sink hadn't been turned on yet, which means it whatever that word is, corroborates with the action of what he's doing. And we know, like, if you read the Day One Journal, it seemed like he liked to smoke weed at night. If I was ever going to smoke, it was going to be at nighttime.
Yeah.
When I'm being very creative and writing or doing something. So if those are bong ashes, and they hadn't been, the sink hadn't been used yet, I'm seeing things in action. What I'm seeing is meal prepping in action. I'm seeing those brand new bananas. I'm seeing that there's a bowl of either what was going to be dinner or meal prepping. You know, I see David researching on the computer, and now we have David enjoying some medicinals.
Right.
Again, at any point does this say, hey, I just snapped? Because people do that, right? Hollywood has made it so that people just snap. No, people, you may have some road rage, but that doesn't mean you snap. You've had that anger you've been carrying all along, and then it may appear that you just snapped, but that's not. This is not a person I'm thinking that's just going to snap.
I mean,
And for what purpose? Oh, the Gray State project drove him crazy. Bro's been working on it for years. Why now on Christmas Day is it driving him crazy? If anything, he's getting so much closer to his goal. And this, I'm feeling like he is being, that perhaps there was a moment when he didn't know if he was ever going to be able to get out of Minnesota, and I'm seeing him seeing that now they're going to leave this place.
Yep.
And him visiting and making new connections, new friends. I'd be very curious as to where this Jason Allen guy lived. Like, look at the people he's talking to and look at the people he's not talking to. It seemed like this is a person in the state of action, in the state of doing, in the state of planning, in the state of enjoying, in the state of more jubilous than snapped and depressed and making a freaking pact. You know what I mean?
Pact, yeah.
And again, where did that theory come from? See, these are some of the things that we need. Listen, bro, there's one thing to say that, okay, you may know what happened to David, but you fear for your life, so you just don't say anything. You just shut the fuck up. But when you go out of your way to try to convince me that not only was there a pact made, that, look at what David was researching before he died. Notice that there was another journal. Like, all of these are tidbits that, like I said, we need to ask some questions here to some of these people.
Yep.
So, usually people who are about to snap, which I don't necessarily believe that's accurate, they don't have love letters and cute, positive, like, these are some of the most positive people that I can think of.
Good morning, lover.
Yeah, this was a joyous family. So you're, and I'm getting goosebumps when I said that. Like, it's like it's not just that this is a murder investigation. It's not just the body and the flesh, but it's also what they did, what they came here to do in this life. It's like it was all washed away. It was all, I don't want to say blasphemous. It was all, it's like the antithesis of who these people were.
Yep.
When I think of Kamel and David, I think genius, I think loving, I think positive, I think explorative, I think before their time, I think cool, crazy, sexy, cool, but crazy in the way that normies would appear then to be, just like Judy with, oh, something's changed, he has a mohawk, like.
Guilty.
You're right. It could be difficult to clean up bong crap from the sink. But again, is that the type of person that David is? Because I know, having been a military brat for 20 years, that cleanliness is next to godliness in the Army. That's just that little tidbit. But also, when you are in a state that finds that is only going to find it illegal, but that could potentially take your child away, it seems like something that would be so absolutely careless for David, and it just seems like such an easy fix because the rest of the sink looks totally clean. So that, sure, everything's a possibility. Now, around that toilet, is not the cleanest, but when it comes to...
But there's those same spots there. The same reddish spots are also kind of there too, which makes absolutely no sense. So I don't know.
I tried to. I look at all where the blood is, and Does it make sense that David's left palm is on that notepad? It does not, because David's right-handed. And if you look at the area of the notepad, why is it all the way towards the left? Why are we just, and then right before you enter the master bedroom, there's that little bit of blood that's brushed up against the wall. It looks staged. The footprints that don't even, I don't believe, this is something that maybe you can help me with. I don't believe that where the footprints are positioned or stationed is where the MacBook is positioned or stationed. I believe that they're close to each other, but
that's correct. That's correct. And I'll pull this one up so people can get a better
but
idea.
If David has let's just say, so
that's
if David
nowhere
has
near
footprints, okay, if David has footprints right there on that counter, why don't we see one single footprint on the carpet or on the freaking couch? Because he had to stand on the couch in order to write Allah Akbar. So then what did he collect it in? Oh, he jumped.
He did a Van Halen move and just said, might as well jump.
Does that look like somebody jumped to do that? It sure don't.
No.
It looks like somebody has their feet on something firm to do it.
And this
doesn't look like I'm jumping up to. Are you out of your mind?
or he has very long legs.
No, what is he, 5'11"?
Yeah.
No,
and
bro.
this
like,
is also,
look how high that A is.
I know.
First of all, we already know. We can't. Can we prove that David wrote that? No. Why? Because one, there's no fingerprints on the frickin' wall, which you think there would be. But two, his frickin' right hand is missing. Three, we don't have anything that is present at the scene that collected his wife's blood. And where is he collecting the blood from? Is it from her hands? Is it from her head? What is, you know what I mean? Like, what is going into this device?
You would need, you would need to have David's DNA on that wall. His DNA is not on that wall.
Just like it's not weird. On the bullet that supposedly killed him. This is why I'm sorry, I'm not yelling at you.
Impossible. That's cool.
That I get so frustrated that by the end of the night that these police, these people who are supposed to serve and protect, and makes you wonder why that slogan is in quotes. If they're here to serve and protect, they certainly aren't doing a very good job of it. And that's not to say that all people in blue aren't the smartest tool in the shed. But when it comes to some of these people at the AVPD, it makes me really question why all of them got awarded. Isn't that interesting how everybody who was tied to this case got something out of it? Now, do I believe that a lot of them were going with what their, commander is saying or somebody at the top is saying? It could very well be.
That would be a great question for Alan. It's like, well, like if you're running an investigation and you're like, hey, I think this happened, but your boss is like, nope, we're done. No, we're not going to go there.
Exactly. And
that's it. It's done.
But then you have to ask yourself, why not only a botched job, because it's a little botched, okay? It's a little Botox botched. But why were you?
It's a Kim Kardashian botch.
Why are they? Yeah, it's like, why are you within 24 hours saying that this man did it?
Right.
Why are you going on Tom Leiden's show? Why y'all making this a big thing? You know what I mean? Like, I really tried to, as an investigator, I really tried to put myself in their shoes and make it make sense. Let's make it true. Let's make David be the one that did this.
Right.
I got nothing, man. But I have a giant warehouse of things here that prove him innocent. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think I take that back. There's one thing that perhaps ties him to this, and that's the submit to Allah now. But other than that, that's it. You've got thousands of things over here that just, free him of all that. And let's just say, look, we got footprints. Why don't we have paw prints? If this dog was supposedly feasting on these people, if David supposedly was writing his wife's blood, that's a lot of letters, by the way. That takes some patience, okay? If David never left that square of the living room and only went to where his computer was to play the Ascent mix, which, by the way, if anybody goes and listens to that entire playlist, which I went back and listened to all of those songs in there. This is not a soundtrack that you're gonna murder your wife and kids to, okay? It's actually quite beautiful, these songs, and they're very hopeful, and some of them are very uplifting. And so that bothers me quite a bit. So let's just say David did it. We only have footprints or feet prints, whatever. Feet prints?
Footprint. Even though this one
we only have them on the hardwood floor, but they're nowhere to be found on the carpet or the couch. You have to have it make sense, bro. You can't have it both ways. How do we get the blood onto the wall? If David's climbing onto the couch and putting his weight on the couch, he must be touching the other wall. Okay, I'm right-handed. I mean, I'm not right-handed, but what I'm saying is, I'm holding myself up, and I'm putting the letter. It doesn't necessarily look like somebody who is right-handed wrote that anyway, but regardless. See, those are just little tidbits that could be irrelevant or relevant. But this is like the meat and potatoes of this. We got footprints right near the MacBook Pro, which is like this is obviously David. He had this soundtrack playing. His blood's on on the keyboard, and here's this really shitty letter that says, what does it say? Like, I have always loved you all. But that makes no sense, because if you think about it, somebody would, I have loved you, Kamel and Rania. I have loved the two of y'all. But you all, it seems like a typo to me. But that's irrelevant / relevant. We got feet print. Fuck this word. Footprints. I get really jazzed about this one because honestly, they should be hiring people like us, bro. And we're doing this for free. All of us have been doing this for free for years. And we're not expecting a thank you or Nathan, okay? So I'm going to get a little rowdy if I want to get rowdy, okay? So we got footprints, Jesus, by the kitchen island, but they're nowhere to be found in the living room. And we have no paw prints anywhere in that house. And they're certainly not on the couch. So how the frick did David climb up there and write those words? Well, David's right hand is missing, and his fingerprints aren't found on the wall. And we have nothing, no type of apparatus to collect the blood in. So one would have to assume that David was reaching down to the area where Kamel is and dipping his hand in it, which is just retarded, and writing this on the wall. But yet there's no blood spatter where you think he's just like, oh, can't get any on the couch. Hell no. There's no trail that leads to the couch up to the wall. What it looks like to me is someone collected Kamel's blood and was dipping their gloved hand into and had had their bearings about them, whether on the couch or on anything, really. Not jumping up there, but dipping. I'm seeing, look at how fresh each letter is. Look at how much is running from the letters. These are fresh dips. This is not a man who's going back and forth around the house when we only have 2 freaking footprints in the whole damn house. Are you kidding me with this shit? And then you're going to say the dog ate his right hand that he supposedly dipped. Come on, bro. There's nothing about David's personality or his character that suggests that he would do something like this.
No.
Okay, if he was overcome with the demon, which some people have speculated. Okay, that
there would be proof.
That's not what I'm feeling. Again, just look at the blood does not lie. A crime scene does not lie to you. You could forget about the character or the great and wonderful things that these humans did. Just look at the blood or the lack of blood that's present here. And how, just even down to the bullets. How many spent bullets were there? There's 6? Does that make sense to anybody? So David shot himself twice. David cut his own hand off. If some people have speculated that Kamel's hands were cut off, but then they think that David did it. Well, then so that means that David cut his own hand off. The type of injury and the type of not backsplash, but the blood spatter that would be created from what the police are claiming that David did is not present in that living room at all.
Yep.
At all. And this is why this gets me very heated. And you know, I'm not coming on here to upset anyone, you know, and I probably have said some upsetting things. That's not my intention. So you just have to know that. But I feel I have been drawn to this case for a really long time, for many years. And it angers me what people think about this case. That's fine. But it angers me that these people that we believe, that we trust and have our best interests to understand this type of knowledge and to go through this schooling and training so that you could come out of this case as a real detective and know that what you're telling the people is accurate. And everything they're saying, it just ain't matching what we're seeing. And this is just on the photos that we have. Imagine all the questions that are going to come out when we get the rest of the pictures.
And there's so many that we don't have. Yep. When you look at the numbers, and everybody has access to this. Everybody has access to the 711 photos that we have from the BCA and the 464 photos that we have from the actual Apple Valley. So, and you can see that these numbers do not make sense. They do not add up. You can see they are only giving us ones that they want to give us. And there are a lot that are missing. Some are out of order. I think the BCA did a better job as far as you can almost tell that they were in order, but they said, no, we're not going to give the public this one. No, we're not going to give the public this one. And you can see that by the actual numbers. You can calculate what the actual numbers are and see
that's why we're stepping up our game. That's why we're stepping up our game as humans right now. We're all, everyone listening to this is going to do the exact same thing. And everyone right now is going to be envisioning of the actions that we need to take. Getting these photos, getting us connected to certain people that are going to help guide us and help us to get this case reopened. And the pressure, whatever it's going to take, whether that's pressure, maybe there's a bombshell that we uncover. Maybe somebody comes out and confesses something. Not sure what that looks like right now, but there's a million and one things that is really wrong about this case. Yeah. And I'll tell you, if something were to ever happen to me and my Woozy, you better believe I'd want one of y'all to come and save the day. You better believe I'd want it, because there's still people on this earth who are holding this emotion, and family members that are holding this emotion. And I personally think that they won't tell me why. Father and brother won't tell me why David is kind of a part. Well, I think I've said too much, but
there are some things that are not for us to know.
They won't tell me if I have a soul contract and David has a soul contract and we all have soul contracts and everybody's soul contract is different, but there's something about my soul contract that how about this? Maybe just screw the soul contract. Whatever is happening right now, because they're telling me some things are happening. Okay. But this is very important to them. And they said that David is involved in some way. They won't tell me in what way that is. They don't give me everything. It may take weeks or months before I'll gain some clarity on something that they're trying to press upon me. They will just give me little tidbits, but I can assure you that you can take it up with Father. Anybody here can just corroborate. Fuck this word. Corroborate with Father or Brother, and you can find out for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you, brother, those photos and that video, we need to know our rights. Okay? We need to know what we can do, not only as human beings and in the law, because man created this law. It's certainly not the law of God, that's for sure, at all. But also as manifestors, as co-creators, as manifestors, we need to know what we can do. And everything I'm saying here, we can do. And right there, that, you know, if you were on the fence about this case or not, those footprints, oh my God, I got it right. And just based off what the police report is saying, none of it matches up with what we're seeing with our own eyes. And at some point, you know, because I don't believe that it was tested, we need to understand what the frickin' the hair is about. The hair, the tuft, the perfectly placed bone fragments. Because if you look, I believe it's Kamel's mandible or her piece of her jaw. If you look at the layers of the blue blanket and how David is laying, you will see that one of those pieces is under. I can't remember the order of it, but it's the where David's laying there and there's a freaking mandible there. And you're like, wait, why is this under the blue blanket? Makes you wonder if they were murdered there. I have a feeling we're gonna find out.
In the living room?
Well, where's all the freaking blood, bro? If the blood.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, go on.
Or
I'm gonna pull it up.
Or there's I don't know how graphic we can get.
It's graphic as you want here.
Again, it's not like we're not going out of our way to look at corpses and whatnot. Just I have better things to do. Okay, yeah. I'm not sure if that's the photo, but it's just like the way. Look, see how it's just a jaw. There's no blood around that at all. It's just a perfectly, and it's very clean, by the way. It's a very clean piece of jaw that just happens to be there. And I don't know if that's the photo. There's one where I believe it's just like, how did this get under the blanket? It's just some of these, it just doesn't make sense. And to me, it doesn't look like, and there's the knife. Like, it doesn't look like Kamel's hair because she dyed it. It had a lighter color to it. It had some highlights in it. It was quite beautiful, if you ask me. This hair looks like wig hair to me.
Yeah.
But because they didn't test it, that's going to lead people like us to speculate because that's all we have right now. So yes, sometimes we need to speculate just to have some things make sense. But the amount of hair it just doesn't make sens, bro.
And where it is, I mean, this is BC.
And we know that because they
452.
said it was pubic. They said that there was Kamel's pubic hair around the bodies. Okay, does that make sense to anyone?
No. Only if
At any point, y'all raise your hand if you hear something where you feel that David is guilty of these crimes that the Apple Valley Police Department the Apple Valley Police Department and some of his acquaintances.
The Goon Squad.
The people that I don't want to call them goons because I don't know them and they're children of God. And
I'll call them.
But you better believe that they know what's up. You better believe that they know what's up.
Well, they look scared as shit after all of this happens, and even after.
Well, why do they need to look scared if David did it?
Because they're scared as shit because they
Why do
know.
they need to look scared? I thought
Very
David
good
did it,
question.
right?
Very good
Why
question.
ain't there no blood on the Christmas tree? Why isn't there spatter on the rocking chair?
Yep.
Like, why does none of this make sense and make so much sense?
I know.
It just looks like they were placed in the way that they were found. Why was David's computer accessed on the 14th when the bodies weren't found on the 17th until the 17th? Why are people coming in and out of that house taking things just days after the bodies are found? This isn't a closed case until what, August, October? There's people in and out of that house. There's people completely unrelated to this matter that's finding bullets. Come on, bro. It's been over a month and you're finding bullets in the carpet or in the ceiling?
Well, you find 2 days later, right, after the crime scene is closed and they've gotten everything, then when the cleaners are in there, they find a bullet that is tied, the only bullet that is tied to Rania. Then 1 month later, they find a bullet that is tied to David, but it doesn't have David's blood on it. So they don't have
So then
David's
that
blood
means
on any
4
bullet.
bullets. So then you're telling me if one bullet killed, let's just use Occam's razor here, people. If one bullet killed David, but for all intents and purposes, David's head is missing. There's just a small piece of I believe, again, not a scientist or a doctor, just an investigator and a really good editor. That bone is still intact. So one has to think if there's 6 spent bullets and one went to Rania and one went to David, but Rania's head is completely intact, that must mean that more than 2, it sounds like 4 bullets went to Kamel and Kamel's head is missing as well, but only 1 went to David. And David's head is gone, but only 1 went to Rania, who's a 5-year-old child, but her head is completely intact. Tell me when it makes sense to you, people. Just tell me when it makes sense. Okay?
Well, you have three bullets that are tied through the DNA that are tied to Kamel. So there's 3 bullets tied to her, but yet they're telling us she was only shot twice. So how does that happen?
Okay, so now we have, well, let's just say we have 3 bullets accounted for. Now we have Rania, which is 1, and David is 1. You think David shot himself twice? Come on. That's 5 bullets. What's this mystery bullet? It's starting to sound like a JFK all up in here, this magic bullet theory.
No, you have
And
the
then-
the 6th bullet is the one that is shot into the basement, which is a whole nother issue. Why would anybody need to shoot a bullet into the basement? That makes no sense either, unless there was a struggle. Then you have a bullet and an actual unspent round that is also found in the living room in the same area.
Bro, the trajectory of that bullet that was found a month later, come on. In the ceiling doesn't have any of his DNA on it?
It has
There's
his
no
DNA. It has his
there's none of his
DNA.
blood. There's
doesn't
none of
have
his
his blood.
blood on it. Of course it would have his DNA on it because he freaking put the bullets in there. Why
But then
is David's
shouldn't
blood,
shouldn't
why is
every
David's
bullet?
blood on the magazine?
Yeah.
Why is David's blood on the inside of the gun? Why is there no blood of David's, no blood spatter in the trajectory of the bullet that is supposedly found a month later that killed him? Let me know when it makes sense for you. Raise your hand, okay?
This is why the bullets are such a big thing. This is the thing that I focused on in my book, because I felt like the bullet thing, if people could wrap their head around the weird things happening with these bullets, then even the people that really believe that David did this, like, well, let's not look at, hey, they think he's crazy or he snapped up. Let's look at what does the evidence show? What does the DNA evidence show? What do these bullets tell us? These bullets are telling us everything, and probably Alan could probably help us with this too. The bullets
Absolutely.
are telling us everything that we need to know about this case. That's the way that I say. If we just start with those bullets there, right? I mean, this is
But we know that it's like it takes a right hand to write those letters on the wall. It takes a right hand for somebody who's right-handed to fire that gun. So all of these things that were supposedly done with the right hand is missing from the crime scene. We got his ring. We got the ring on the table. Like, makes no. Just make it make sense. I can understand. Okay, maybe there's some midnight burglars that. Who knows why they would take the ring off? Maybe that's protocol. But it just doesn't sound like protocol to me, because it's not an item number. It's not bagged and it's not an item number. It was completely left off. And of course you have the bore patch, which is just strange. Why is the bore patch at the crime scene? Like,
yeah, and that's something Catherine has covered, and hopefully we can. I do want to wrap this one up here, but hopefully we can come back and do another part 2, maybe in another week or two. And if Catherine, if Sophia, if Dan, if Rick, if anybody else does want to join us here, you're always welcome here, and we'll come back in maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, depending on our schedules, and let's continue.
And I would love for all of y'all to come to join me in Apple Valley, whatever that looks like. Like I said, I'm going to be kind of. This never goes away for me. This case never goes away. But I will have to just kind of set it down so I could finish this monster of a case that I'm working on. But I'll tell you, I'm going there with or without y'all. I'd love for you guys to be by my side, but these are things we don't have. And before I can continue with this, we need to we need to be there on the ground. If we're going to investigate this from the comfort of our chair, no. We're going out into the real world, and we are going to be the actors in this movie who are the heroes, which I don't want to sound like, we're doing this to be the heroes. We have a feeling in our guts. We know something's wrong, and we have been drawn to this case. We're not doing this to be on the news. I certainly am not doing this for any notoriety or for anything other than I feel like I have to do it. So,
all right. Any final words, my friend here? Before I shut this one down.
I think I've talked for quite a bit.
I think we got you riled up here.
I think I've let a side of myself come out that hasn't come out in all of the interviews that I've done. I'm only human. A flesh and blood of made. Such a great song. And it's so true, right?
Rule. Yep.
My intention. Y'all know my intention of coming up here and joining Greg. Do you think my intention was to come up here and poke fun at somebody or to be obscene or macabre or to be violent or to speculate or to hurt someone's feelings? Am I here to hurt someone or am I here to help someone? And y'all know the answer to that. So, no, I don't have anything to say other than, I'm going to do this.
Yeah,
I'm going to play this game. I only got this, I got a bunch of lifetimes, that I've lived, but only one in this body. It could be like the next lifetime, this will be gone and over. And, this feels like a soul thing for me. So I'm going to fulfill that contract. I guarantee you I would have never done any of this if it hadn't been for this phenomenon that started in April. But I'm rolling with it. I'm going with it. And but I do need help. I do need some guidance. You all know what I can do. But as far as law enforcement, as far as anybody who is in the profession, like I said, of law enforcement, if you're a freaking judge, if you're a prosecutor, if you're a lawyer, if you're a PI, if you're a nurse, if you work with cadavers, if you work in a morgue, like all your expertise is what you have to say, whether it's for or against, because I want to listen to everyone. I'm going to listen to everyone. Because if I just only listen to things that are in David's favor, I'm not doing a great job as an investigator. I need to hear everything. I love to, if people have speculation, I want to hear everybody's I want to hear what every human has to say about this, because none of it makes sense. And so I'm willing to entertain all sorts of ideas, because I kind of filter it through my gut and my heart. So I won't be swayed in any way, you know.
Darn. Okay, so I can't convince you to agree with me on everything and believe that I'm right with everything.
I mean, I think we do agree with everything so far. I mean, I don't know how I feel about Judy being scripted, but I don't think that there's something we disagree on. I would love to know that, so that we could hash it out.
Sure. Would you ever want to be a moderator for a part 2 debate against me and Judy?
Do you have? Well, what would you debate her on? She's a witness into the what happened. It's her account. Like, I try not to get caught up. Now, it's not to say
one day you're gonna understand my sense of humor. That's my goal.
Oh crap! Oh man, goal. Sorry.
One day, someday. So it's okay.
Sometimes I take things very literally. Unless you have like a smirk about it, then I may not know. Because we have talked on the phone about your feelings about Judy Prochnow.
She's my biggest fan.
Sarcasm.
There you go. You got
it.
All right, cool.
The word game came into my head, and yeah, I may seem cheerful, and what I'm feeling right now is joy that there are people listening to me talk about this. There is a sense of relief, because there's not really any people in my life that I can really talk about this case with, like I can with you, who understand, who is right there with me. I don't have to hold your hand through any of this. And so there is a bit of relief there, but the idea that I can, if life is a game, which I believe it is, I'm gonna play that game. A, select start.
Up, down, left, right, left, right.
Yeah, there you go. Select start. That's the one. The Contra. So let's play the game of life. And it doesn't have to be with just this. It's just with everything. But this is an example of like, okay, I'm telling you guys of my plans of what I'm hoping to do. I want to step into the game instead of just being behind the computer, you know. With something like January 6th, I don't need to go to DC. I don't need to do anything. There's thousands of hours of footage out there. So easy. This is it's almost like the antithesis. So now I need to insert myself into the game, and whatever that looks like. But I want to be armed, you know, not only with father and brother's protection, and you know, hopefully, you know, David's as well. But people that are still here on terra firma that give a shit about this case and want to do something about it. Whether that's that, and that could look in so many different ways. Just even meditating about it can be very impactful. So let me know when y'all give a shit enough to join me on my crusade. So
okay, you got it.
I think that's enough.
Yeah, we'll definitely stay in contact with that. And when you do plan on making that trip, we want to be careful about, you know, advertising too much or advertising too little.
I may have advertised too much. Okay, Father says no. That makes me feel comfortable, because I debated whether to talk about these plans, but then it's like if I decide not to, that may be living in some type of fear.
But you want to be smart about it. You want to be smart.
You want to be smart about it, but I don't want fear to take. To be driving this ship, because it drove the ship for so many years, and now it's like starting to see and feel in a whole different kind of way, and very much a way of who Yeshua really is. And I'd love to talk about him all the time, the real Yeshua, not this, You know, not this version, this distorted version of him sacrificing animals, and it's just ridiculous. That's not him at all. No. Anyway, yeah. Fucking picture.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody
Thank
for
you.
joining us here.
Thank you for oh yeah, we didn't say anything about. You want to just do a quick blip about? I don't know if you're able to post where this lives, but
where is
you know, this
pull
I
it
could
up.
send you the link of where this sticker lives. But also, you know, don't take my word for it. Go watch some of my work. You know,
Wooz News.
you could see my January 6th video that I just released 3 weeks ago. So that took 2.5 years to do, and I think when you if you haven't seen, if you're new to me and new to my work, go check it out, and you'll see what I'm about. Because I could put the money where the mouth is, or whatever that's saying. I can bring it. I'll bring it to the table. No problem. There we go.
Wooz News right there. All of these videos, even the ones, like you said, the BitChute, that is because that's where you're going to find the
I mean, some of my
part
videos
one.
are, yeah, some of my, so you'll have to display that as well. Some of my videos have been banned from YouTube. I actually had my entire channel banned just a few weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago. But I filled out an appeal.
Nice.
And you know, sent
You're gonna
that
have
in.
to, you're gonna have to help me with that, because my original channel is the one that got banned, where all of my David Crowley stuff was. So this is actually my backup channel.
Ooh, when was it?
Oh, years ago.
Oh yeah.
2020.
Nope.
Yeah,
They
no.
have, I believe it's a 90-day period.
Ah, that's okay.
Yeah, because I can no longer get my Act 1 back. Even though I appealed it, they said you could appeal it again, and I never appealed it again. But those 90 days. Now, there's a new thing that they've rolled out. If you watch one of YouTube videos, like a good boy or girl, and you atone for the sins that you made in your video, you have to sit through this video. I think there's like a questionnaire that you have to fill out. But there might be a way, but you do know that if you were to go to the place where you do fill out the appeal on YouTube, all your shit's still there.
Yeah.
You can watch all of it. It's still only to you if you still have the password. Are you missing data?
Oh no, I mean my channel is completely gone. It's completely
There are actually two things I would like you to help me with. Hold on a second. Okay. I just had to clarify something in my head. There's some footage of someone. Okay, there's some footage that we talked about, somebody that and their tax shit. That person gave an interview, I believe it was the next day, on a news channel. I believe there were two of them. I know you know who I'm talking about. And I've seen a screenshot of this interview. And the screenshot, because I remember their legs are in it. The point I'm trying to, do you understand who I'm talking about, first of all?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Can you find this interview, or does anybody know where this interview
I've never
is?
seen the interview. Never seen the interview.
But you have posted a screenshot of the interview.
I posted what little information we've been able to find.
Do you remember where that came from? Okay, well then I need to figure out how to get this, because that's
it's
also
one of the local, media.
That is. Listen, there are little things out there that I want, and that's another piece of this puzzle that I want. Another thing that I would like your help with, and this is something that doesn't need to be really broadcast out here, but I'm going to fill out my own FOIA request. And, you know, I can be a little Forrest Gumpy about some of these proceedings. You know, put me in a crime scene or have me edit a video, and I'll give you a gold star sticker. Some of these other things, like logistical things with numbers attached to them, and law and, you know, force and man attached to it, not so good with me. So maybe you can help me guide me with filling out a FOIA request, because I'm wondering if I will get back the same amount of information. Or
yeah, we
will
have
I
a
get
template.
will I get a Tony Floyd surprise?
Tony did something different. Tony must have did something different.
This is another avenue of the. This is what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna
This
make a
is
note of
another.
that because in our next show we're gonna talk about Tony. I want to talk about Tony Floyd in our.
I don't know. You can. I don't.
No relation to George Floyd from Minnesota, but yeah. Okay.
I just have a question. Is Tony the one who has videos and he's in cahoots with the English lady, the one who has an English accent? Are these is this the same person?
They're all I think it's all the same thing. I think he got burned by my fan club, and so he turned from my fan club, and then all of a sudden,
oh God, and there's that. Now I'm getting thoughts of when we'll just call him the tax man. You know who I'm talking about? One of David's friends. The tax man is trying to convince you and Dan to be an admin. Bro, this needs to all be categorized.
I know.
Color coded. Who said what? Who did what on when on what date at what time? And here's how to prove it. And we know that this is what I'm saying. The before, the during, and the after of this case.
I know. I mean, this is why I took a lot out of my book, because I didn't want it to be about the goons. I didn't want it to be about me, the threats against me. I wanted the book to just be about what do we know that proves David did not do this? What do we know based on their documents, based on their
I mostly agree with you, but when the Blacklight report is telling us that his computer was accessed on the 14th, when we know that his Facebook picture was changed just a year ago. Like, who the fuck is changing his Facebook profile picture? And why? And I want to know, by the way, it could be a nothing, but I want to know, because that's just the mind that I want to know what Greek god that is. Maybe you can post that later or something. If that's a Greek or Roman god, I don't know what it is. But I would like to know, because there it is.
Where is this?
Yeah, where I've tried to look. I'm really busy with a whole other case, but I'll still make time for this case. And if you look on my desktop right now, you'll see a bunch of tabs open trying to figure out who the heck this is.
This must be like a Minnesota. This must be somewhere in Minnesota is my guess.
I just want to
I'm the only one that is like this photo, by the way.
There's only so many clues that we have to this. Actually, there's quite a bit of clues, but when it comes to some of these more stranger clues, this is one of them. And so I'm wondering if it could just be a Greek god who is in control of lightning and thunder. I don't know. And it means nothing. Okay, fine. Okay. But I'm curious. I want to know. So I'll help a brother out, so we could cross it off the list. If this is because, like I said, this isn't the first time somebody has accessed these pages. This isn't the first time somebody is controlling his Facebook or the Gray State page or whatever. And like I said, we know that the bodies weren't found until the 17th. Why the heck is somebody coming in and accessing the computer?
Right. That's it.
That's a big red flag for me. And more importantly, how'd y'all break into David's computer? I don't want to assume that they broke in, but all of this data and footage was handed over to Eric Nelson and Werner Herzog. What came first? The phone call to Werner Herzog and A&E, or Werner Herzog and Eric Nelson? This sounds like a really good documentary. Let's see if there's any video out there. Oh, it just turns out we just happen to have everything. These are some of the things that really bother me about this case. And again, from a crime scene / law enforcement / detective / scientific understanding, none of that is to be found in a Gray State documentary by Eric Nelson. None of it. So y'all gonna come at me for some speculation? just watch Eric Nelson's A Gray State, and you'll see a whole bunch of speculation in there. Okay.
That's right, my friends. Yep, and then we'll come back. We got a lot to cover. We may have to do a part 3, but we could talk about Tony Floyd. We could talk about Eric Nelson's film. We may do a kind of a thing where we watch Eric Nelson's film. I don't know if I could. I probably can't show it on YouTube. I've tried. It's gotten banned, but we can actually do a commentary while we watch it.
We can watch it, yeah,
with the audio, and we could do
Bro,
that
there's
live.
so much stuff I've left in my videos and things I put in. It's just the Autobots don't catch it all. I understand if you don't want to, you're taken down or whatever, but
no, I mean, I've tried to play Eric Nelson's film here.
Then that means somebody's watching your content and flagging it.
Yeah. No, they flag everything just to flag it.
Why?
Just to
I
flag
thought
it.
David did it.
Yeah, I know. Well,
make it make sense. Sorry, I lost my temper earlier, but it's just
it's all
come
good.
on, y'all.
It's all good.
Make it make sense.
So, I mean, we're gonna end this one here.
Yeah,
I want to
it's
thank
like 4
Wooz
hours.
News. Yeah, Rafa, thank you so much. We are going
Thank
to come
you.
back. We will do a part 2. If anybody wants to join us in the part 2, I will leave that in the group, and I do hope that more people will join us here. We'll create a little panel, and we'll go from there. And that does include anybody.
If this case is speaking to y'all, and I know that it is. I have seen comments all over the world about this case. So don't try and play like people don't care about this, because they do. There's millions of people, I believe, that care about this.
I think you're right.
If you still care about it, maybe you want to influence the game of life. And if you don't want to influence with this particular case, maybe influence something else in your own personal life. Just stop living in fear is the point I'm trying to make. Do that thing. You only got this light suit once. So,
That's
all right,
right,
I'm going to get out of here. I feel like I'm preaching, and I need another.
That's all good,
shake.
brother. Thank you so much, man. And until next time,
God bless you.
God bless you all.
Bye.
We'll be back.